My brother drove recklessly, often drunk, crashed into a tree, and our parents covered it up, then demanded I pay $14,500. Hey Reddit, so my parents got my golden child brother a Tesla and then attempted to blame me after he crashed it. Buckle up, because this is going to be the most shocking family betrayal story you've read all week. So, since I was a child, I, 24 male, have had the worst luck in my family. My parents see my younger brother, Tristan, 21 male, as the golden child, capable of doing no wrong. The partiality in our household is so evident that it would make a sitcom writer blush. I'm not even exaggerating, this is straight up everybody loves Raymond material. Let me break it down for you. Since I turned 18, I've been required to pay a $400 monthly rent to live at home. Yes, you read that correctly. $400 to live in the same house where I grew up, in a bedroom that hasn't been changed since I was 12. Meanwhile, my brother lives fully rent-free, eating food I help pay for, using utilities I help cover, and overall acting as if he owns the entire home. When I finally had the courage to call out this obvious BS, my parents attacked me with the typical nonsense that parents employ when they realize they don't have a true explanation. The double standards do not end there. When I was in high school, I had to keep a 3.8 GPA while working weekends at a nearby hardware store. I was not permitted to attend parties since I needed to focus on my future. Tristan? This guy barely completed his classes, never worked during high school, and was permitted to party every weekend since he's just being social and needs to enjoy his youth. Every accomplishment of mine received a half-hearted compliment, whereas Tristan was commended for putting forth the bare minimum effort. I labored more than 40 hours each week at my soul-crushing corporate job only to save enough money to leave this hellhole. My objective has been to save enough for a quality apartment and the first and last month's rent, but every time I get near, some inexplicable family emergency arises. And guess who is supposed to help out? I graduated from college 3 years ago. I worked part-time while taking a full course load, graduated with honors, and found a job within 2 weeks of graduation. What is my reward for this achievement? A half-hearted congratulations text with a $50 Applebee's gift card. There is no party, celebration supper, or anything. Simply put, here's some mediocre chain restaurant cuisine, now keep paying your rent. Tristan finished this month with a strong 2.4 GPA following 6 years of what I guess was professional beer pong training. This guy changed his major 3 times, failed many classes that he had to repeat, and essentially treated college as an extended vacation with occasional paper writing assignments. And how did my folks celebrate his lousy achievement? They purchased him a Tesla Model 3 Performance. Not the standard model, but the $60,000 plus option with all the bells and whistles. Premium sound system, the works. I still recall the day they handed it to him. We were all gathered in the driveway, when my father handed Tristan this small box. Inside are the keys to the dazzling white Tesla sitting across the street. Tristan starts freaking out and dancing around like he's won the lotto, while my mother shoots around 500 photos for Facebook. My father looks at me, notices my expression, and says, "Don't be jealous. Your brother deserves this after working so hard." What exactly are you working hard at? Beer pong championships? When I mentioned that I graduated with honors in 4 years despite working and earning nothing, my mother had the gall to comment, "Well, college was easier for you. Tristan really struggled. He struggled to get out of bed before noon and remember who he was dating that week." I could go on for hours on the obvious partiality, but you get the point. My entire life, I've been treated as a second-class person within my own family. Tristan's entire personality was transformed the moment he received the Tesla. I am not even kidding. Dude couldn't go 5 minutes without discussing his whip or sharing Instagram stories from the dashboard. The car was no longer merely a mode of mobility for him. It had become his entire personality. Tesla Bro was born, and it was as annoying as it sounds. Every night, he would arrive home at 2 a.m., from whatever bar he was at and rev the engine in the driveway like a true tool. Yes, I understand that Teslas do not have engines to rev, but this dip would floor the acceleration back and forth in our driveway, producing that electric whirring noise at full blast. He'd wake up the entire neighborhood since, obviously, sleep is reserved for peasants who don't own the electric automobiles that Daddy purchased. The youngster drove like he was auditioning for Fast and Furious 27. Electric Baloo, driving down residential streets where children play, performing donuts in grocery store parking lots, and recording those TikTok videos where people pretend to sleep while their Tesla is on autopilot. Every time I suggested that treating public highways like his personal racetrack wasn't the best idea, he'd smirk and tell me to quit being such a buzzkill, bro. I even saw him drive intoxicated several times. This wasn't just being a douche, it was actively hazardous to those around him. I offered to be his designated driver several times or to call him an Uber, but he declined. The automobile basically drives itself, bro. Except that autopilot does not magically eliminate the effects of drinking on your judgment and reaction time. His friends fared no better. They would pack into the Tesla, usually 4 or 5 of them, all equally wasted, and go on a joyride. Their words, not mine. I warned them all several times that something horrible was about to happen. I also warned my parents. Everyone urged me to mind my own business. My mother genuinely said, and I'm quoting exactly here, "You're just jealous you don't have friends who want to have fun with you." Yes, Mom, I'm quite envious since I don't have buddies who wish to die in a catastrophic crash or kill innocent people. You caught me. With each passing day, Tristan became more reckless. The videos become more dangerous. The speeds increased. It wasn't a matter of whether something would happen, but when. Everyone, except me, appeared utterly unaware of what was about to happen. But then the inevitable occurred. On a Thursday night, I was in my room working when I heard my parents' door bang open at 3 a.m. There was frenzied talking in the hallway, followed by my father's car starting and rushing away. I found my mother downstairs, looking as if she had seen a ghost. When I asked what was going on, she murmured something about, "Your brother had a little accident with the Tesla, and that my father had gone to pick him up. A minor collision." That's family code for a catastrophic blunder that they're already plotting how to avoid. Around 4:30 a.m., I heard my father's car arrive into our driveway. I went to the front window and saw him almost pulling Tristan along the walkway. He could barely walk, was missing a shoe, and had what seemed to be dried blood on his forehead. My father was desperately shushing Tristan as he slurred, "Tree came out of nowhere, man." It turns out that Golden Boy wrapped his Tesla around a tree after leaving a bar. Isn't that shocking? Who could have expected this absolutely unpredictable incident, which I had been warning everyone about for weeks? By some miracle, he was not gravely injured, only a gash on his forehead and possibly some bruises from the airbag. However, the Tesla was nearly destroyed. Front end was smashed in. Airbags were deployed. The windshield cracked. The whole 9 yards. They escorted him to his room as if he were a baby who had stayed up past bedtime rather than a grown-ass man who had just committed a crime. I didn't get the complete story until the following morning. Tristan had been to the Rusty Nail. He got completely inebriated with his equally intelligent companions and then concluded that driving was an excellent idea. His friends, these stand-up citizens, appear to have encouraged this scheme, with one even video Tristan doing shots and then twirling his Tesla key, saying, "Let's see what this baby can really do." On his way home, he turned an extremely fast corner, lost control, jumped the curb, and plowed into a large oak tree owned by a poor homeowner. My father arrived ahead of the police. According to my mother's whispered phone call to my aunt, which I completely overheard, my father handled the situation with the homeowners. I have no idea what he promised them, but knowing my father, it was not cheap. He probably wrote them a check right away and forgot about it. The true mystery was how he persuaded them not to report the incident to the police. They had the Tesla towed to our garage, where it sat like a massive metal middle finger. The front end had entirely caved in. The hood collapsed like an accordion. Both airbags had deployed, leaving a strange powder residue across the interior. The windshield was a spiderweb of cracks, and one of the front wheels was deformed at an angle that was clearly not factory standard. It was now a $60,000 paperweight. The garage door remained closed. 2 days after the accident, my parents arranged a family meeting in the living room. Throughout the history of family meetings, no one has ever been called to deliver good news. Nobody ever calls a family meeting and says, "Hey, we're all going to Disney World." So, I entered the living room. My parents were seated on the couch, making those serious faces you see when someone is ready to beg for a favor. Tristan slouched in the armchair, swiping through his phone as if the entire situation was a little inconvenience, diverting his attention away from his crucial TikTok perusing. The bruise on his face had turned a gorgeous shade of yellow-purple, which actually complemented his attractiveness. My father cleared his throat and looked at me with that fake serious expression he has when he's going to say something absolutely absurd but wants to appear logical and fair. He has a routine that includes straightening his back, clearing his throat, and clasping his hands together. It's like watching a nervous actress practice for a scene. "Son," he called out. "We've looked into the damage to Tristan's car." He said it as if Tesla had acquired a cold. "The insurance won't cover it because..." He trailed off, visibly uneasy. "Because he was driving drunk," I concluded for him. My mother gave me a look that could curdle milk. "Don't be dramatic. He'd only had a few drinks." Right. After a few beers, he was unable to walk straight or construct intelligible sentences when he returned home. In my mother's world, Anything less than being completely unconscious is considered a couple beers. My father continued as if I had not spoken. The point is, repairs are going to cost around $18,000, and we think it's only fair that we all chip in as a family. I actually laughed aloud, believing it was a joke. I then knew they were serious. They had the audacity, the ultimate brass balls, to ask me to assist pay for repairs on a car that I don't own, don't drive, and was damaged because he chose to drive drunk and smash it. I couldn't believe what I heard. You want me to help pay for repairs on a car that I don't own, don't drive, and was damaged because he decided to drive drunk? I asked again, just to be sure I wasn't having a stroke and hallucinating this conversation. We're a family, my mother remarked, as if that clarified everything. And you're the only one with significant savings right now. Ah. There it was. They knew I had been saving to move out, and they saw it as a handy way to compensate for their golden child's error. My savings were not for my future. It was simply an emergency fund for Christ's fuck-it-ups. I get it. How much are you expecting me to chip in? I said, using air quotes around chip in because we all knew that meant pay for the most of it. My father had the decency to appear slightly uncomfortable. Well, your mother and I can put in about $3,000 from our emergency fund. Tristan has about $500 saved up. LOL. Of course, Tristan only had $500 to his name, despite never having paid rent or expenses. That money was undoubtedly set aside for marijuana and whatever pricey streetwear brand he was into that month. So you want me to pay the other $14,500? I completed for him. It was not a question. My dad nodded, happy that I understood. We'll figure out a payment plan. Maybe $1,000 a month until it's paid off. We know you've been saving up. Tristan finally looked up from his phone and added, it's not like you need a fancy apartment anyway. You're always working. The chutzpah of this child could power a small city. He smashes his Tesla, the one I cautioned him not to drive drunk in, and then gives me financial advice on how I should spend my hard-earned money. I got money by working 2 jobs and paying rent to my own parents. That was when I lost it. I laughed again, but not in a good way. It was the kind of chuckle you have when something is so ridiculous that you can't be furious about it anymore. I'm not giving you a single cent for this, I stated, looking each of them in the eyes. Tristan crashed the car because he was driving drunk, and he should be grateful he's not sharing a cell with some guy named Bubba right now. This is his problem, not mine. My parents looked at me as if I had suggested sacrificing the family dog. After everything we've done for you, my mother began, her voice shaking in that manipulative tone she'd honed over the years. The Guilt Trip Express was departing the station. What have you done for me exactly? I was wondering. Made me pay rent while he lives free? Given him a Tesla while I drive a car that's older than his driver's license? Constantly dismissed my accomplishments while celebrating his mediocrity. Please, elaborate on all you've done for me that justifies me paying for his drunk driving accident. My father's face got that distinct shade of red that only comes when someone questions his authority. You will contribute to fixing your brother's car. End of discussion. I stood up, surprised at how peaceful I felt. No, I won't. End of my discussion. The expressions on their faces were priceless. They were so used to me giving in, to being the responsible one who makes sacrifices for the family, that they couldn't accept this new version of me who wasn't going to give up. You're being selfish, my mother said, pulling out the final weapon from her arsenal. No, I'm being realistic, I explained. Tristan chose to drive drunk. He chose to crash the car. That means he can deal with the consequences for once in his life. I walked out of the living room and back to my room, rejecting their request to return and discuss this like adults. The irony of their sudden desire for an adult talk was not lost on me. As I closed my bedroom door, I heard Tristan say, "So does this mean I'm not getting the car fixed?" That kid is always focused on his goals. I had no idea what they would do next, but one thing was certain. This wasn't over. In my family, no is not considered a complete response. It's simply an opportunity to find more innovative ways to achieve what they desire. My parents scarcely spoke to me for the following few days, only asking whether I had reconsidered their gracious offer to let me pay for Tristan's error. I kept my responses short and to the point. No. This resulted in a lot of heavy sighs, slammed doors, and my mother engaging in passive-aggressive behavior by talking about me in the third person when I'm literally in the same room. Some people just don't understand family loyalty, she would say to no one in particular as I ate breakfast 3 feet away from her. You're really subtle, Mom. I saw them whispering a couple times while hunched around the kitchen table, papers strewn out. When I walked in, they would quiet down. This was never a positive indicator in my family. When people stop talking when you walk into a room, you can bet your ass they're talking about you, and not in a way that suggests they're arranging his surprise party. Friday night, I arrived home from work to find my father on the phone with an insurance company representative. He was speaking in his professional voice, which he uses to persuade others that he isn't a liar. I heard language like complete coverage and vandalism claims before he noticed me and took the call into his office. Vandalism claim? That was new. Drunk driving into a tree is not considered vandalism, unless the tree filed charges. I assumed they were grasping at straws, hoping to find some way to get the insurer to pay. Good luck with it. Insurance firms hire entire departments whose sole responsibility is to find reasons not to pay claims. But, whatever. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Saturday morning, setup. Saturday morning began with a boom, literally. I was jerked awake at 7 a.m. It sounded like someone was bashing the crap out of a metal trash can. I stumbled out of bed and looked out my window, which overlooked our driveway, but I saw nothing strange. The noise had stopped. I assumed it was just the garbage collectors being overly aggressive and went back to bed. Approximately 1 hour later, all hell broke loose. I awoke to shouts from the garage. I put on some sweatpants and headed downstairs to see Tristan standing in the open garage, my parents behind him. All three were staring at the Tesla. The car was significantly more damaged than before. And I don't mean a bit more damaged, it appeared that the Hulk had a particular vendetta against it. The windshield had entirely smashed. All of the windows were broken. There were significant damages in the doors and hood. The side mirrors were dangling from cables. One of the headlights had just disappeared. Everything was almost impressive how completely ruined everything was. What the hell happened? I questioned, completely perplexed. Sure, the automobile was messed up from the incident, but this was on another level. Tristan whirled around, his face flushed with apparent wrath. Like you don't know? You did this? I actually laughed. I was asleep all night. I didn't touch your car. My father held up something, a baseball bat. My baseball bat. From my high school days. The one I kept in my closet as a reminder of when I played. Then why was this in the bushes outside? My father inquired, his voice doing that phony calm thing that indicates he's actually quite upset. I responded I had no idea, but my mother cut me off. Don't lie to us. It was my bat, which I had possessed for years. But I hadn't touched it for months. It sat in the back of my closet, alongside other high school sports gear I never utilized. We've already called the insurance company, my father said smugly. They're sending an investigator on Monday. We told them someone vandalized the car out of jealousy. That's when something clicked. Tristan must have stolen my bat and further damaged his already damaged Tesla. He then placed the bat to frame me. The insurance wouldn't cover the drunk driving accident. What about vandalism? This might be covered. Bonus points for exacting retribution on Big Bro, who refused to pay for his error. Now it made sense. I looked at Tristan and noticed the small smile he was trying so hard to disguise. This wasn't simply him being a spoiled brat. This was true malice. He purposely set me up. And my parents were in on it. You're seriously going to frame me for this? I questioned, gazing directly at Tristan. He smirked. Who do you think they'll believe? He was asking. The straight-A student with a bright future or the jealous older brother who still lives at home and complains about everything? My parents stood behind him, their arms crossed. A united front, against me. They had already chosen their side, as they always did. It didn't matter that they were committing insurance fraud, which is a criminal. It didn't matter that they were willing to blame me for something I hadn't done. All that mattered was to preserve their golden child. This is bullshit, and you know it, I remarked, surprisingly cool given the situation. I didn't touch the car. I was asleep all night. My mother scoffed. We heard you leave your room around 2 a.m. The neighbor's security camera probably caught you too. That was intriguing. We didn't have any neighbors with security cameras, at least not ones that could capture our driveway or garage. They were lying. That meant they knew exactly what had transpired. Because they helped plan it. Or, at the absolute least, they knew Tristan had done it and were covering for him. So let me get this straight, I responded, crossing my arms. You want me to either pay $14,500 for repairs to a car I don't own, or you'll frame me for vandalizing it to commit insurance fraud? Those are my options? My father's face reddened. Nobody's framing anyone. We know you did this because you're angry about the money. I returned to my room without saying another thing. There was no point in arguing with them. They had already determined their interpretation of reality. I closed the door, sat on my bed, and tried to think. This quickly went from ordinary familial bias to outright criminal activity. I grabbed my phone and called my supervisor, requesting an emergency day off for Monday. I was not going to leave my defense in the hands of my family when the insurance investigator showed there. I needed to be there to explain my side of the story. As I hung up, I realized something that made my stomach sink. My parents had just shown me how far they would go to protect Tristan. They would frame their son. They would lie to the authorities. Which made me wonder, what had they covered up for him in the past that I had no idea about? Monday. The insurance investigator arrives. The insurance investigator arrived on Monday morning at precisely 9 a.m. His name was Mac. I've seen this sort before. He had a wrinkled button-down tucked into khakis and was carrying a tablet and a camera. My father tried to convince me to go to work and they would handle everything, but I just stared at him until he gave up. It's funny how quickly his power dissolved when I didn't immediately roll over. My parents did their best June and Ward Cleaver impressions when Mac came. Tristan slouched nearby, appearing victimized, and periodically caressing the mark on his face for dramatic effect. Mac was courteous, but all business? He walked immediately to the garage to study the Tesla, snapping dozens of shots from all angles. He spent a long time comparing the front-end damage to the new damage, which made me think he would realize the obvious. This automobile had been involved in two quite distinct accidents. After inspecting the vehicle, Mac requested to meet with each of us individually. My parents went first, together. They stayed there for around 30 minutes. Then Tristan walked in for his interview, which lasted approximately 15 minutes. I heard him raise his voice at one point, most likely for dramatic effect. When it was my turn, I sat across from Mac at our kitchen table, where he had already set up his laptop and some documents. He glanced at me and said he had some concerns concerning where I was on Friday night and early Saturday morning. I told him the truth. I was sleeping in my bed at home. I got home from work at 6 p.m., cooked a sandwich, played Xbox, and went to bed around 11 p.m. I didn't leave my room until I heard a disturbance in the garage the following morning. Mac nodded, taking notes. Then he asked me directly if I was responsible for the Tesla's damage. No, I replied, staring him directly in the eye. And here's what you need to know that they probably didn't tell you. That car was already significantly damaged before this so-called vandalism happened. He raised his eyebrows, displaying the most passion he'd shown thus far. I described everything. Tristan received the Tesla as a gift after his lackluster graduation. He had been driving dangerously since he received it. I told Mac about the drunken driving, speeding, and TikTok videos. Then I came to the crash. How Tristan had wrapped it around a tree while driving drunk about a week before, and how my parents had managed to evade arrest. Check the airbags, I informed him. They've already been deployed from the first crash. Take a look at the front-end damage and the new damage. They are plainly different. The front-end damage is the result of an impact with a tree. The rest is not from me. I also informed him about my parents' attempt to get me to pay $14,500 for repairs, and how the vandalism occurred unexpectedly shortly after I declined. Mac wrote everything down without much reaction. Then he questioned whether anyone could confirm that I was in my room all night. No, I explained. I live with my parents and Tristan. However, I did order a pizza around 9:30 p.m. On Friday, I spent approximately 11 hours playing Xbox Live with pals. They can certify that I was online. He nodded and took additional notes. Then he startled me by asking if any of my neighbors had security cameras. Not that would cover our garage or driveway, I replied. The Johnsons across the street have a doorbell camera, but it only sees their porch. He wrote something down, thanked me, and promised to contact the family soon. As we walked back into the living room, I could feel my parents and Tristan staring at me. They realized I hadn't followed their script. After Mac left, all hell broke loose. After Mac left, all hell broke loose. My folks have lost their collective brains. How dare I reveal the truth to the investigator? The horror. My mother cried because I was attempting to ruin Tristan's life over a single mistake, as if drunk driving and insurance fraud were on par with forgetting to take out the garbage. My father got in my face, pointing his finger, and told me I should call the investigator back and rectify this if I knew what was best for me. Tristan just smirked from the couch, knowing that his plan would succeed. Because it always has. The golden child always wins, right? I returned to my room and locked the door, disregarding their requests to return downstairs. For the next 2 days, I went to work, returned home, went directly to my room, and closed the door. I ordered delivery meals and only came out once I realized they were asleep. It was like living in a hostile foreign country where I didn't understand the language and everyone despised me. Wednesday. A text from Mac. On Wednesday afternoon, I received a text from an unknown number. "This is Mac with State Farm Insurance. Please meet me on Main Street at 4 p.m. today. I have a few follow-up questions." I replied back to say I'd be there. I did not notify my family where I was going. I left work and headed straight to Starbucks. Mac was already present, seated at a corner table with his laptop and stack of papers. He motioned me to sit down. "I wanted to talk to you away from your family," he continued with a low voice. "We've uncovered some inconsistencies in the claim." Mac turned out to be more thorough than my family had anticipated. He'd scoured the neighborhood for security footage and discovered anything. Last month, the neighbors 2 doors down installed a new security system featuring a wide-angle camera that covered the majority of the street. And guess what it caught? At 2:13 a.m. on Saturday morning, Tristan took my baseball bat from my car's trunk, where I kept sports equipment, and drove off in his already damaged Tesla. The video saw him carefully breaking every window, denting the hood and doors, and even pulling off one of the side mirrors. Max slid his tablet across the table, showing me the footage. There was my brother. At 2 a.m., staging the entire thing. It was so apparent and humorous. "I've been doing this job for 15 years, Mac blurted out. "And this is one of the dumbest frame jobs I've ever seen." He then informed me that he had previously reported the facts to his superiors at the insurance firm. They denied the claim and referred the case to their fraud department. He had also contacted the local police, who wanted to talk with both me and Tristan. "The police officer will be here in about 10 minutes, Mac continued. "And I wanted to let you know before they contact your family. Given the circumstances, I thought you might like to speak with them separately." I really thanked him for his thoroughness and belief in me. The police get involved. A police officer arrived. She was a woman. She took my statement, showed me the footage again, and asked if I wanted to file charges against Tristan for attempting to frame me. "The DA will decide whether to pursue the insurance fraud charges," she replied. "But for the false reporting and the attempt to frame you, that's your call." I sat there, contemplating. Yes, Tristan is my brother, flesh and blood. But he was also the one who purposefully attempted to frame me for a crime I did not commit. The person who would have gladly let me take the blame for his drunk driving and subsequent tantrum, potentially destroying my record, employment prospects, and life. I considered all the years of favoring. All those double standards. All the times I was made to feel inferior because I was not Tristan. I reflected on how they were willing to let me take the blame for insurance fraud to protect him. And then I realized how tired I was of it all. "Yes," I informed the police. "I want to press charges." Without hesitation. Only a simple yes. She nodded, took some notes, and invited me to the station later to provide a formal statement. We decided on 6 p.m. that evening. Coming home to chaos. I drove home, getting into our driveway around 5 p.m. to grab a few items before heading to the police station. To my amazement, a police cruiser was already parked in front. Officer Rivera seems to have made good use of his time. Walking into my residence at that time was like walking into a battle zone. My mother was pacing and crying in the living room. Dad was on the phone with someone, hurriedly discussing misunderstandings and family issues. Tristan sat on the couch, looking pallid. He usually had a perpetual smug grin, like the cat who ate the canary and successfully blamed it on the dog. When my mother noticed me, she ran over. "What did you do?" "The cops were just here. They think Tristan might be charged with fraud." I did not do anything. Tristan committed this to himself when he decided to blame me for vandalizing his car. My father hung off the phone and stormed over. "This is ridiculous. We can deal with this as a family. You should contact them back right now and tell them you don't want to press charges." "No," I simply replied. "I'm done covering for him. I'm done being the fall guy. None of you can make me drop the charges right now." The aftermath? A full-fledged meltdown. The fallout was exactly what you would expect. My mother alternated between sobbing and attempting to guilt me into withdrawing the allegations. My father alternated between frightening me and providing money. Suddenly, he could assist me with the rent for a new apartment, if I only made this disappear. Tristan tried to apologize, but it came off as "sorry I got caught," rather than "sorry I'm a scheming asshole." At 5:45, I walked upstairs. I knew I didn't want to return to this place after delivering my statement, so I packed a duffel bag with clothes, my laptop, and some critical documents. When I returned downstairs with my bag, my folks looked frightened. "Where do you think you are going?" my father demanded. "I'm going to the police station to provide a statement. And then I'll stay with a pal for a time." My mother started wailing loudly. "You cannot leave. We need to deal with this as a family. We stopped being a functional family a long time ago," I responded. Maybe we never were. My father moved in front of the door, barring my exit. If you step out that door and do this, don't bother coming back. You will no longer be welcome in this home. If you do this to your brother, you are choosing to destroy this family. I stared him directly in the eyes. No, father, I am not destroying the family. I refuse to let the family destroy me anymore. And if you are truly willing to abandon me because I did not allow it to happen, I am fine with it. I stepped around him and exited the door. He called after me, something about ungrateful children and family loyalty, but I didn't turn back. I got into my car and proceeded to the police station. The formal statement giving my formal declaration took around 1 hour. The officer outlined what would come next. Tristan would be charged with filing a fraudulent police report, attempting insurance fraud, and possibly other offenses relating to the original DUI crash, which had never been properly recorded. This can become messy, she cautioned me. Family cases frequently do. Are you certain you want to proceed? I nodded. I'm sure. When I left the police station, I received a text from my pal Chris. Have your room ready. I ordered food. Don't be late, brother. I had called him earlier to inquire if I could stay at his apartment for a few days. And being the reliable friend he is, he did not even ask questions. As I drove to Chris's apartment, my phone flooded with texts and phone calls from my relatives. I turned off my phone and continued driving. For the first time in years, perhaps ever, I felt as if I was actually standing up for myself. Chris was waiting on his porch as I pulled up, holding 2 sodas. He didn't immediately ask for more information. He simply assisted me with my stuff and said, "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." And in that moment, I discovered something significant. This was how real families were meant to feel. Not obligated, not manipulation, not a perpetual competition. Only unconditional support. The kind I had never seen at home. Edit 1. Holy crap, this exploded up overnight. Thank you for the accolades and support, Reddit, it means a lot. Edit 2. Stay tuned for an update, which will be available soon. LOL, that rhymed. Update, hey Reddit, it's been a while since my previous post, and many of you have DM'd me asking for an update on the Tesla bro problem. So, here goes. I left my parents' place 6 months ago with a duffel bag and a newfound backbone. Best decision I've ever made. I crashed with Chris for a few weeks before finding my own house. Nothing spectacular, just a 1-bedroom apartment where no one begs me to solve their problems. Tristan's case progressed fast. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, blood alcohol levels from the hospital the night of the incident, which my parents attempted to conceal, and an insurance inquiry report. He ended up pleading guilty to all charges and received 6 months in county jail, 3 years probation, a huge fine. He lost his license for 5 years. My parents were not charged, but they did face significant fines for their involvement in the insurance scam. They're essentially broke after paying legal expenses, fines, and the remaining payments on a totaled Tesla. As for me, I received a promotion at work. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you're not always dealing with family issues. In addition, I'm taking night school to pursue an MBA. Life is currently fairly good. The update you've been waiting for: text messages and phone calls resumed last month. First, from my mother. Then my father. Finally, Tristan used his jail-approved phone time. They all had the same message, only delivered in various ways. They need money. Mom took the standard guilt tactic. We're about to lose our house. After everything we've done for you, how can you abandon us now? Dad attempted his typical intimidation. You owe this family. Man up and help us out. Tristan apologized and stated that his time in jail has changed his perspective. Before requesting for commissary funds. Do you know what was very funny? Last week, my folks arrived at my apartment. Unannounced. I have no idea how they got my address, probably through a mutual family connection. They were standing outside my door, looking really pitiful. Both of them had a frantic face. They had an entire pitch planned. They were selling the house but needed funds to move. The bank accounts were frozen. Dad lost his job following the controversy. Mom's anxiousness was flaring up. Couldn't I please assist my family in their time of need? I listened to everything without interrupting. I saw them spin their sob story with a dramatic performance. When they were finished, I just gazed at them for about 10 seconds before asking, "Sorry, I must have missed something during your brief presentation. Could you please remind me which part of attempting to frame me entitled you to my financial assistance?" Mom's face collapsed, like if she had been smacked. Dad stood there speechless. For the first time in their lives, they had no script ready. The roles were flipped, and they had no idea how to play someone who were out of control. But they weren't in their house, where they set the rules. They were at my door. And I had all the cards. I said I'd think about it and close the door. I thought about it. For around 5 seconds. Then I sent this text. The answer is no. Do not contact me again. Dad responded with threats. Mom uses emotional manipulation. Tristan made pledges to change. I blocked all of their numbers. Some people may believe that is harsh. Perhaps it is. But after 24 years being the scapegoat, I'm finally putting myself first. They're adults who've made their decisions. Just as I am making mine right now. So that's all for now, Redditors. Thank you for sticking around during this whole mess. You guys are the finest. I will keep you updated if anything else happens. So, guys, peace out for now. Edit 1. For those thinking of bringing charges against my parents. The DA determined that there was insufficient evidence to indicate they were aware of Tristan's plan beforehand. Personally, I believe they knew. But, whatever. The financial ramifications they are currently facing are most likely harsher than what the courts would have done anyhow. Edit 2. To the few people who messaged me stating, "But they're still your family." Oh, come on. Being connected by blood does not give somebody the authority to frame you for a felony. That is not how family works. That's how prison gangs operate. LOL, that rhymed. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while since my previous post, and many of you have DM'd me asking for an update on the Tesla bro problem. So, here goes. I left my parents' place 6 months ago with a duffel bag and a newfound backbone. Best decision I've ever made. I crashed with Chris for a few weeks before finding my own house. Nothing spectacular, just a one-bedroom apartment where no one begs me to solve their problems. Tristan's case progressed fast. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, blood alcohol levels from the hospital the night of the incident, which my parents attempted to conceal, and an insurance inquiry report. He ended up pleading guilty to all charges and received 6 months in county jail, 3 years probation, a huge fine. He lost his license for 5 years. My parents were not charged, but they did face significant fines for their involvement in the insurance scam. They're essentially broke after paying legal expenses, fines, and the remaining payments on a totaled Tesla. As for me, I received a promotion at work. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you're not always dealing with family issues. In addition, I'm taking night school to pursue an MBA. Life is currently fairly good. The update you've been waiting for: text messages and phone calls resumed last month. First, from my mother. Then my father. Finally, Tristan used his jail-approved phone time. They all had the same message, only delivered in various ways. They need money. Mom took the standard guilt tactic. We're about to lose our house. After everything we've done for you, how can you abandon us now? Dad attempted his typical intimidation. You owe this family. Man up and help us out. Tristan apologized and stated that his time in jail has changed his perspective. Before requesting for commissary funds. Do you know what was very funny? Last week, my folks arrived at my apartment. Unannounced. I have no idea how they got my address, probably through a mutual family connection. They were standing outside my door, looking really pitiful. Both of them had a frantic face. They had an entire pitch planned. They were selling the house but needed funds to move. The bank accounts were frozen. Dad lost his job following the controversy. Mom's anxiousness was flaring up. Couldn't I please assist my family in their time of need? I listened to everything without interrupting. I saw them spin their sob story with a dramatic performance. When they were finished, I just gazed at them for about 10 seconds before asking, "Sorry, I must have missed something during your brief presentation. Could you please remind me which part of attempting to frame me entitled you to my financial assistance?" Mom's face collapsed, like if she had been smacked. Dad stood there speechless. For the first time in their lives, they had no script ready. The roles were flipped, and they had no idea how to play someone who were out of control. But they weren't in their house, where they set the rules. They were at my door. And I had all the cards. I said I'd think about it and close the door. I thought about it. For around 5 seconds. Then I sent this text. The answer is no. Do not contact me again. Dad responded with threats. Mom uses emotional manipulation. Tristan made pledges to change. I blocked all of their numbers. Some people may believe that is harsh. Perhaps it is. But after 24 years being the scapegoat, I'm finally putting myself first. They're adults who've made their decisions. Just as I am making mine right now. So that's all for now, Redditors. Thank you for sticking around during this whole mess. You guys are the finest. I will keep you updated if anything else happens. So, guys, peace out for now. Edit 1. For those thinking of bringing charges against my parents, the DA determined that there was insufficient evidence to indicate they were aware of Tristan's plan beforehand. Personally, I believe they knew. But, whatever. The financial ramifications they are currently facing are most likely harsher than what the courts would have done anyhow. Edit 2. To the few people who messaged me stating, "But they're still your family." Oh, come on. Being connected by blood does not give somebody the authority to frame you for a felony. That is not how family works. That's how prison gangs operate. My father demanded I attend my golden brother's wedding, threatening to cut my tuition. They were shocked when I revealed I earned more than him. My father has always treated me as the child in the family that is overlooked. He was simply infatuated with my brother. He continues. You know what? I don't care if you got accepted to some prestigious college. You have to go to the local college because we don't want your brother to be jealous of you. So, you know what, guys? I pretended everything was fine. I replied, you know what, Dad? Okay, fine. I'll go to that college on one condition, I get to stay in the dorms. So, I lied to him. I pretended to reside in the dorms and attended the prestigious college on a scholarship he was unaware of. But when he finds out, he will erupt. What would you do if the people who had hardly noticed your presence for 3 years suddenly asked you to show up and act like a family member for one day? That would be a very hard scenario, right? I mean, it's always going to be like that with family, especially my own. Let me start at the beginning. My name is Jonas, and if you haven't figured by now, my family is quite dysfunctional. I mean it. That is, if it can even be considered a family. What do you name the individuals who gave birth to you but then abandoned you when they discovered a better version of you? Can that even be considered family? Instead than going in circles, let me state it clearly. I could have had a happy family if my parents had treated both of their children equally. But, no, my parents are a bunch of biased jerks who have been treating me as background noise for as long as I can remember, all because my brother Roman was the healthier kid. I mean, Roman was one of those healthy, adorable infants who drew everyone's attention in an instant, whereas I was the scrawny, average-looking one that no one wanted to hold. But should these things influence parents so profoundly that they begin to differentiate between their children? It shouldn't, right? But it was different for my parents, Patrick and Marin. Within a month of Roman's birth, he had become their golden kid, the infant who received universal adulation. I mean, he wasn't outstanding. He was merely the more attractive one, the main character, so everyone was drawn to him, whilst I was usually the supporting character, standing in the background, forgotten. You can imagine how dreadful my childhood must have been. My parents ignored me and just provided for my basic needs, while my egotistical brother let all of the attention get to him. Roman grew up as a pampered brat who only cared about himself. So you can picture the kind of relationship we had. I was the shy, introverted kid, and Roman turned out to be a huge fat bully. Could you imagine that? Are you being bullied by your little brother? Yeah, that was the case with me. Roman seemed to have made it his life's mission to make mine unhappy, whether by throwing wild tantrums that caused my parents to spoil my plans or by physically taking away the things I liked. Is this correct? It was a poor scenario in and of itself. Add a set of biased parents to the mix, and you can understand how terrible my upbringing was. My parents were the main reason Roman grew up to be such a brat. While Roman was showered with new toys, attention, and praise, I was never spoiled. My birthdays were a formality. My accomplishments were never particularly significant, and my job in the family was essentially that of a background prop. One time in 3rd grade, I had all A's on my report card. I was thrilled, you know? I figured maybe I'd get a pat on the back or something. But when I presented it to my mother, all she said was, "That's good," as she went on to rave about what a nice little painting Roman had done that we just had to put on the refrigerator. Yes, Roman's wonky dog drawing received center stage, while my straight A report card was placed into the garbage drawer with the other forgotten papers. So you know how things were. I felt like the neglected report card, while my brother was lauded for everything. But it wasn't just the small stuff. Oh no. Roman got to decide where we went on family trips, what we ate for dinner, and what we watched on television. Every time I attempted to select something, I was turned down. And that idiot Roman rubbed it in my face to the fullest extent possible. He was the king, and I was nothing more than his servant. So I guess you can see why I wanted to flee this hellhole as soon as I could. And I even had the perfect opportunity. I was looking to pursue a bachelor's degree and was awarded a scholarship to one of the world's finest institutions. It was a very prestigious college, the kind that assures a good career for its students. Getting a scholarship there? Oh, that is a dream. But here's the catch. It was many states away. And, like everything else in my life, my parents refused to let me have it. Click share and more to check if there is a part 2. Part 2. Do you want to discover the reason? Of course it was Roman. My parents even suggested that I attend the local institution in our state because it provided a greater opportunity and option. They reasoned that since Roman, who was not particularly bright academically, could feel bad that I had the opportunity to enroll at such a prominent college while he did not, I should stay local. What was stopping him? He could have worked his buttocks off, like I did, and received what he desired. However, none of this made sense to my parents. They told me I needed to go to the local college. You see how ludicrous this whole situation was? Somewhere in my mind, I assumed they were doing this to keep me from outshining Roman. It was as if they recognized my potential but consciously chose to disregard it. It's as if providing me with genuine support would jeopardize Roman's image as the golden child. Why else would they work so hard for me to stay at the local college while Roman, who was nothing near as ambitious, received unrivaled support? It seemed as if I was not meant to be more successful than him. That was not part of their script. But did I succumb to that foolishness? No. I'd already made significant sacrifices to keep up with the family's wacky, biased antics. But I decided I'd had enough. I told my parents that I would only attend the local college if they permitted me to live in the campus dorms. My parents agreed, a little too happily, thinking they'd persuaded me to stay at the local college. But did they actually? No chance in hell. I accepted the scholarship and relocated to another state while my parents thought I was attending a nearby college. The nicest aspect was that the prominent college I was admitted to offered the finance course I desired in just 2 years, whereas the local college required 4. So that was ideal since it meant I could graduate earlier than my parents had imagined. Honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made. Not only did I leave the hellhole my parents had created, but this college represented the pinnacle of prosperity. I say this because, shortly after graduating, I was offered a 6-figure salary and have been with the company for a year. Things are actually improving for me, since I am on the verge of receiving a promotion. I did it all. The scholarship covered 70% of the fees, and I utilized the money my father contributed to meet other expenses. Now I'm having a fantastic life. My father continues to send me money, believing that I am a student at the local college. And I have not told him to stop. I know it's kind of terrible, but I consider it retribution for the last 3 years. I've had limited communication with my relatives. There were a few checkup calls here and there, as well as 1 or 2 trips to my home over the holidays, to keep them from becoming suspicious. Aside from that, they haven't troubled me too much, and I've been able to avoid them by explaining that I've been busy with my studies. They don't seem to care anyway. I mean, why should they? They had a golden child now. My parents benefited from the fact that the only person they had to care for was no longer in their lives. I was truly satisfied with the setup. It did hurt from time to time that my folks didn't notice I had moved states away. But the melancholy was offset by the relief of not having their toxic presence around me. Truth be told, I did miss having a family. Not a dysfunctional one like mine, but rather the feeling of having a family who genuinely cared about me. Despite my friends and pleasures, I felt that something was lacking in my life. However, until this morning, it appeared difficult to correct. My father called today to tell me that Roman was getting married and that he needed me there a few days before the wedding to help with the preparations. I was taken aback. Was my father truly urging me to come home? I had been looking forward to this moment for a long time, especially since he told me I was part of the family and that he wanted everyone to be present for Roman's big day. I truly became emotional. My parents had never acknowledged me as a member of their family. They were primarily concerned with themselves and Roman. But now my father specifically wanted me to attend the wedding. It was overwhelming to receive appreciation from my parents. But then I remembered that these were the ones who had ignored me throughout my childhood. Even today, they were unaware that their eldest son lives states away. Do I really want to return to these people, only to be disregarded again, as I have been my entire life? This is where I find myself in a quandary. And I'd like to ask you all. What would you do if you were in my shoes? I miss my sense of family, and it would be wonderful to have them care about me for once. But the prospect of returning back only to have my expectations shattered again terrifies me. Should I accept their invitation and attend my brother's wedding solely for the sake of family? Or should I stick to my commitment to live far away from them and not allow them to hurt me again? Before we get into that, it's been 2 days, and I've had plenty of time to consider what I should do. In the end, I decided to keep my peace. Even though some of you may disagree with my decision, I elected not to accept my father's invitation to Roman's wedding. And honestly, it feels like the best decision I have ever made. Spoiler alert, my parents haven't changed and never will. Let me continue where I left off in my initial post. After some thinking, I texted my father, just saying that I wouldn't be able to make it. There is no lengthy explanation, no excuses. To be honest, I was not going to come. I expected some reaction, but I didn't expect the manipulation to start so early. Within an hour, my phone was flooded with text messages. First, my mother attempted to guilt trip me. She inquired if I truly wanted to miss Roman's special day. If I wanted to be that brother. And how disappointed Roman would be if I wasn't present. She went on to say how much it would mean to Roman if his older brother was there. Really? She also attempted to play the game in which you only got one family card. But here's the thing, Roman's big day meant nothing to me. Because Roman had never cared about any of my significant occasions. Not one. And yes, you only have one family. Part 3. But only if they behave appropriately, you know? So I informed my mother the same thing, I was not coming. When guilt tripping failed, my father resorted to his own bizarre tactics. He attempted to keep it calm at first, stating things like how families should stick together on situations like these. When I still didn't move, he decided to play dirty. He called and stated that if I didn't show up for Roman's wedding, they would cease paying my tuition costs. He stated they couldn't afford for people to gossip about how one of their sons wasn't present at such an important event. Essentially, they wanted to maintain the appearance of a happy family for their friends and neighbors. As is customary, everything revolved around appearances. Not about me. Not about Roman. But what about how the family was perceived by others? That's when I really lost it. I mean, how selfish could somebody be? Threatening to cease paying my education expenses just so I may attend a wedding. It was incredibly foolish. Even more so given that I didn't care about any of the money they handed me. I responded by telling my dad, go ahead. Stop paying the college fees. I'm not coming to the wedding and nothing you say or threaten will change that. I still hadn't told them that I had graduated a year ago and was living states away with a six-figure salary and a life they could never have provided me. I didn't want them to know how good my life was or where I was because they would ruin everything that was going well. I know I have to tell them the truth, and I will do so shortly. But right now, I was having fun. My unwillingness to attend my brother's wedding, despite my father's warnings, enraged him. He spoke about how ungrateful I was. How I've always been difficult. And how Dad planned to withdraw my name from the local college to teach me a lesson. He said it as if it were a huge threat, as if being pulled from a place I'd never even been to would destroy me. He had no idea that the truth was just the opposite. Honestly, I couldn't stop laughing. I could have told him I had never attended the local college, but where's the fun in that, guys? So now I'm simply waiting for my father to go and try to withdraw my name from a college where I was never enrolled. I'm honestly waiting for his reaction when he discovers I no longer need him or his money. That's going to be shocking. And it's only a matter of time before my phone calls with another round of obscenities. I honestly cannot wait. Anyway, I'll keep you all posted on what happens. Until then, so long. Hello, it's Jonas again. I know it's only been a day since my last update, but the never-ending drama in my life has gotten even wilder. After my last post, I had a feeling my father would take my unwillingness to attend Roman's wedding seriously. It turns out I was correct. It all began with a phone call from him this morning, and he was furious. He was irate and wasted no time in asking me where I'd been all this time and what the heck I'd been doing with all the money he provided for my college expenses. It was like witnessing a toddler throw a tantrum because he did not get his favorite toy. Only this time, it was my father who was driven insane by the happenings around him. Apparently, after our last chat, my father went to the local college. Yes, this is when things become really fascinating. He went there to withdraw my name, simply to teach me a lesson. That guy was so crazy that he thought pulling my name from college and suspending my studies would force me to attend Roman's wedding. Clearly, he was wrong. So, obviously, when my father went to the local college, he was in for a huge surprise. The local college had no record of my enrollment. It must have been quite the spectacle. My father stood there, attempting to cancel my registration when Jonas was not present at college. I bet the revelation hit him like a blow to the belly. During our call, his bitterness over his momentary humiliation at college was evident. He wanted to know where I had been for the past 3 months and what I had been doing with all that money. But, honestly, the situation was so absurd that I couldn't stop laughing. After more harsh remarks from my father and some waiting on my part, I decided to tell him the whole truth. I told him that I had graduated on a scholarship a year ago and that the money he had been giving for my college tuition had been extremely helpful. Then I dropped the larger bomb. I informed him that I now had a 6-figure salary and was making more than him. When he inquired whether I was kidding, I could tell he was disappointed. But he realized it wasn't a joke. The fact that I was no longer the struggling student he thought I was, but rather an independent man with a fulfilling life, must have been a difficult pill for him to swallow. I was ready for whatever came next. As soon as my father understood what I had just said, he erupted, accusing me of treason for keeping them in the dark. He went on about how much he had done for me, only to be confronted with this betrayal. Done so much for me? Was he talking about how he and my mother ignored me for years to focus on their favored child? Then he came up with the most ridiculous idea imaginable. He said the only way he could forgive me was if I went to Roman's wedding and made sure there was no scandal or gossip about the family. I could not believe it. This individual was still primarily concerned with his image. I don't understand why he's suddenly fascinated with the family's image. It had never disturbed him before. Anyway, I told him I didn't need his forgiveness, and I certainly didn't want to be a part of their ruse, pretending we were all one happy family. My father, still upset, tried to persuade me to attend the wedding. He appeared frantic at this point, but I held my ground. I told him there was no way in hell I'd go to the wedding of the man who devastated my childhood. Not only that, but I informed him I was done with the drama and would cut them off. My father was shocked, but I did not remain silent. I had spent my entire childhood absorbing everything silently. But not anymore. I told him I didn't want any of them to contact me again and that they could attend their golden son's wedding without me while I enjoyed my life. My father attempted to influence me emotionally again. But this time, I wouldn't have it. Talking about how I was his kid and how I needed to attend my brother's wedding. But I was finished. I just informed him that he had only one son since he was the one they all appeared to care about, and that they could keep it that way. As I gladly cut them off, I didn't even give my father another time to respond. I quickly ended the call and blocked his phone. And here is where I am right now, officially cut off from my family's harmful presence. It's a bittersweet feeling because I never imagined things coming to this. But I am also somewhat satisfied since I know it had to be done. At least now I can live a calm life. And if all goes well, maybe I'll be able to start my own family one day. So it's been more than a month since I shut off communication with my family. I thought I was above all the drama and manipulation. But they clearly couldn't let things go so simply. A few days ago, I received an unexpected call from an unknown number. It was my mother, and she was sobbing uncontrollably. I had banned all of their calls, so I was surprised to receive this one. I decided not to hang up on her because I suspected something horrible had happened. But it was nothing like that. She began telling me how much she misses me and how she simply wants her kid back. She stated she didn't care what I or Dad did. None of it mattered to her. She simply wanted me to be a member of the family again. I was perplexed. I mean, where was this energy previously? When I told them I was cutting them off, they didn't seem to mind. And now my mother wants to patch things up? Don't you think that was a bit suspicious? So I just hung up on her, telling her I'd call her later. I had a sense something wasn't right, so I contacted my aunt, my mother's sister, to see if she had any ideas. What she told me was bizarre and it verified all of my suspicions. Apparently, Roman's wedding was a complete fiasco. A massive shitstorm. His seemingly beautiful fiancée turned out to be a full-fledged fraudster. Before the wedding, she persuaded Roman, my parents, and a group of family members to put all of their savings into a dodgy, once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity. And guess what? It was all a hoax. She took the money and dipped. There were no weddings. She's gone, as are my family's savings. However, it wasn't the end of it. My aunt also informed me that my parents were in even more serious difficulty than I had suspected. Apparently, my father provoked a disturbance with an employee and his family, resulting in a significant loss for his already dying firm. And then everything clicked for me. This is why he was so eager to invite me to the wedding. He wanted to salvage his image by demonstrating how much he treasured his perfect family, and all those values. But of course, that did not work. This fiasco between Roman and his fiancée just added to the negative news. So, basically, they are losing money left and right. To make matters worse, they used their house as collateral for a loan in an attempt to salvage the firm. However, this also backfired on them. And now they are likely to lose their home. They had to move into a dilapidated trailer or studio apartment because that's all they could afford. Now everything was plain to me. My mother didn't call because she missed me or wanted me back. They urgently needed me. They realized I was doing well for myself and wanted to use me as a safety net. I understood everything. They were out of options, and I was their only hope. So, I wasn't playing that game. I was not going to be dragged back into their mess, especially now that I had seen the whole picture. They didn't care about me because they were too busy catering to Roman and his needs. But here's the catch. My parents are now fighting with Roman because they blame him for everything. For the entire wedding fiasco. For all the money they've lost. It's actually pretty funny. The golden child they built their lives around has ruined everything. And, to be honest, it made me happy that they were finally realizing their mistakes. Anyway, I could care less. I'm staying out of the controversy. After my mother called, I blocked her again. I wasn't going to let her control my emotions. But did this prevent my parents from reaching out? No, absolutely not. They were needy and clingy, refusing to accept that things weren't going their way. My parents eventually showed up at my house. Do not ask me how. I'm not sure how they got the address, but I believe they badgered some of my old friends for information. However, the how does not matter. What matters is that they showed up at my door, reminding me of family values, and that, as their older son, I was their responsibility. And now, somehow, they were mine. I slammed the door in their faces, of course. They begged me to help them, claiming they were penniless and had spent their last money on a flight to meet me. That sucked for them, but I wasn't going to help. This is not the end of it. A few days later, Roman arrived at my home, practically crying and pleading for help. He stated that he missed having his big brother in his life. I'm not sure what big brother he's referring to because all I remember is him bullying me. I warned him, but he kept begging, saying Mom and Dad were going to cut him off shortly because they were angry with him for putting them into this problem. It was all for nothing. Roman shared the same fate as my parents. I locked the door in his face, warning him that if any of them returned, I'd call the cops. Since then, I haven't heard from any of them, and I honestly don't care. I am done with this toxic family. I'm a little sad that things with my family have come to this. Because the void they created will always be present in my life. But I'm not going to take their trash anymore, just for the sake of family. I fell in love with a married man while engaged to my fiancé of 6 years. Now I regret it and am trying to reconnect with my fiancé. We have been together 6 years now, and during the 3rd year of our relationship I cheated on him with a close family friend. I had started taking him for granted and it became easy to cheat because I didn't value the relationship. He broke up with me and we were split for months, and the times I was single I realized he is a great BF. I begged for him back and he took me back, but I had to promise to never speak to the guy again. I'm happy to say I never cheated since then and haven't been tempted at all. I understand how great of a partner I have. That being said, the guy I cheated on was a close family friend, and recently I rekindled our friendship behind his back. Nothing romantic. Have you ever met someone who is a terrible partner but a great friend? That's him. I hated the fact that I let a stupid mishap ruin our friendship. My fiancé found out and was angry. I apologized and we talked, and he needed space. He sent me a text of his demands to continue the relationship and I copied and pasted it. His text. After doing some thinking, I can't trust you. Whether it was platonic or not, this is the 2nd time that I know of where I have violated my trust. The hardest part isn't this, but now I have to wonder how many times have you violated my trust or done something behind my back that I just don't know about. You claim this is it, but how can I believe you? I love you and want to work on this relationship, but it's going to require a lot from you. We are postponing our wedding indefinitely. When we first got back together, it took 10 months before I felt secure in the relationship again. I have no idea how long it will take to feel secure again. Eli, I changed the name, will be blocked on everything, and you're to never speak to him again. This now includes family events. If you know he will be there, do not attend. If you didn't know and he attends, you are to ignore him. I have unrestricted access to phones, social media, emails, etc. Every password I want to know for any device you have. No hanging out with male friends alone. You are to be home by 1 if you do go out with your homegirls. There will be more, but these are my demands and they aren't up for discussion. If you aren't willing to do it, then the relationship is over. Take your time to think about it. End of text. I called him, but he said he's not arguing with me about it and won't call him back until I decide what I want to do. I feel that this is extremely harsh considering the fact I didn't cheat this time. Ever since we got back together, I never cheated on him. OP believes that the punishment is too far. I think I was wrong. But I feel that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I made a horrible mistake years ago. Being friends with someone doesn't equal sign cheating. Even though I was wrong for going behind his back. OP is convinced to follow her BF's rules. Okay, I'll do it. I just needed to make sure he wasn't going too far, but if this is what it takes to rebuild his trust. When commenters say that OP is on her way to cheat on her BF again, she claims, "You don't think I'll follow his rules? Good thing I don't let people tell me what I can't do. I'm going to be laughing when we work through this, get married and have kids." Update 1. We had a really great conversation and he was vulnerable and said it made him feel like I didn't value him. He was crying and it really hurt me to see the pain I caused him. He told me that please let's not go forward with this unless I can promise that I won't go behind his back again because he can't go through this pain again. I told him that I promise I will never hurt him again and will always be honest and upfront with him now. We talked about the rules and he said they will be temporary and will be adjusted when we go to couples therapy. Now it's time to put in the work to repair the relationship. I know it will be a lot of work, but I'm prepared. Update 2. So next month I'll get married this fall. I was with an amazing guy and we worked through a lot of issues together. I thought I loved him and I think I still do, but not in love with him. About 3 months ago at my job, we got a new coworker who is very handsome and extremely attractive. I mean, I have never been so physically attracted to someone in my life. We started to deepen our friendship, but romantic feelings came. I repressed mine, but to my surprise he confessed his feelings to me as well. I told him we gotta think about our spouses, but our feelings continue to grow. He told me he stopped being affectionate with his wife because he feels like he is cheating on me when he does that. He only wants to be affectionate with me. I've started doing the same thing and haven't been intimate with my partner. The big thing is a lot of people will be hurt when this comes out. He can't divorce his wife right away because of finances, but he will as soon as possible. I have to call off the wedding, but I really don't want to hurt my current fiancée. When asked about her previous infidelity, OP says, "I have cheated before and I'm starting to realize it's because I didn't understand being in love. With the guy I'm seeing, we both aren't romantic with our current partners. I don't want to be with anyone but him. Also, he's going to divorce his wife. We have a plan for when his finances get straight. How is she justifying this affair? This is completely different. The first time I cheated was because I was selfish. This time it was because I fell in love with someone else. I didn't choose this. No one picks who they love. This whole experience has taught me how complex love is and that I've never been in love before. This is so hard on OP. That's not fair. I didn't want any of this to happen. It breaks my heart that I'm going to have to call off the wedding, but he's a great guy and I'm certain he will find someone else. I wish I loved him or didn't fall in love with someone else. Because life is more complicated than that. I don't want to hurt him and have been thinking, oh, the best way to tell him. You guys act like this doesn't hurt for me too. You guys are not being understanding or empathetic. When commenters tell OP she's gullible about the married guy, she keeps emphasizing, I'm going to tell my fiancé. But we can't tell the other guy's wife yet. He's trying to get his finances in order first. Update 3. I took everyone's advice and decided to end things with my fiancé. This was the hardest thing I had to do in my life. I know you guys think I'm a terrible person, but this is an unimaginable situation to find yourself in. I want everyone to know how much this hurts. I really wish I didn't fall in love with someone else. I wish I could make myself fall in love with my fiancé, but I can't. It took me so long to accept this. I hope you guys can understand that I can't convey this enough, that I care about my ex-fiancé. I know this will be best for both of us, even though it's hard right now. When asked if OOP told her ex-fiancé the truth, she says, I didn't lie. I told him the truth, that I fell in love with someone else. I told him I still care about him. I keep telling you all that I care about him and would never use him as backup. He's a great guy and there's a woman out there who will love him and be lucky to have him. There's no reason we both can't be happy. When commenters tell OOP that there is no way the married man is going to leave his wife for her, she says, he is going to divorce his wife. Unfortunately, divorce is extremely complicated, but he said he will keep me updated. It's not just finances but a lot of other legal stuff. Since I wasn't married yet, it was easy to end things. For him it's a lot more complicated than that. When commenters continue to call OOP gullible, she says, no, I was very clear in our conversation today that I want this figured out by the end of the year. That's plenty of time for him to figure out finances and legal stuff. That way by 2025 we can just focus on each other. Update 4. I realize I treated my fiancé horrible and received my karma. My coworker and his wife are getting a divorce because she found out he was cheating with multiple women. Plural, he's a disgusting animal. He lied to me and others pretending that we were the only ones. I ended things with him. I'm glad he's been exposed. Now, regarding my ex-fiancé, I've taken the time to reflect and realize he's actually my true love. I hate that I hurt him. I reached out again to him, but he said he will always love me, but he's done with me. That was painful to hear. I just can't get over what my coworker did in destroying multiple relationships, including mine. It's painful to see and experience. Edit. I wasn't clear, but I take responsibility for my actions. Just because I'm condemning his disgusting and manipulative behavior doesn't mean I'm justifying my actions. My actions were horrible, but I've learned from them. I love my husband, but am no longer physically attracted to him. Not because of his looks, but because he isn't manly enough. I know this is a horrible thing to say, but I have to say it. It's a throwaway account. My husband and I are in our mid-40s, married for over 20 years, and have 3 beautiful children, all in their double digits. I do love my husband, but I don't know if I'm physically attracted to him, not because of his looks but because of how he lives his life. My husband is a good man, treats me very well, and is an amazing father to our children. Physically, he is tall, with broad shoulders, not skinny or athletic, but not obese either. He is a big guy with a big beard, big arms, and big hands. He is built like a linebacker. He can physically intimidate people with just his presence, although he never intentionally does that. He can control a room and has a very masculine job at which he excels. However, the manliness ends there. This is why I may not be attracted to him anymore, if I ever was. He is not handy. It's not that he doesn't try to fix or do things around the house, but he cannot build anything. Anything he does fix never looks or works right. Often we have to hire people to fix or build things for us. He doesn't drink. He will go out once in a while and have a couple of beers, but he doesn't drink at home. My husband isn't into any manly stuff. He doesn't hunt, fish, or do anything with automobiles, and is not big into sports. He has taken the kids fishing and shooting, just so they have the experience, but he does it just for them. He really doesn't have any hobbies. I begged him to take one up, so he started building Lego sets. He's in his 40s. He loves going to movies, likes cooking. I never have to cook when he is home, and he does a lot of the house cleaning. I will give him this. He doesn't play video games or board games, unless it's family time, or do anime or any of that. He is not controlling in bed. Sex is okay, but I want him to take charge. I won't say anything about this to him. I wouldn't know where to start. I do love him. It's not that I want him to be a drunk or macho aggressive jerk, but sometimes I just want a man to take charge and fix things and be a man. This is bad, I know. I feel bad saying it, just needed to say it. Update 1, hello. I wanted to add a little update to my original post. I don't know how to link it to this one, so you'll have to go into my history. I received a lot of hate for my thoughts and feelings. I realized when I wrote them and read comments about them that they come off as mean and cruel. I have no right to feel this way. The problem is that I do feel this way. I don't know how to change it. I thought about it for a few days and finally needed to take action because it was weighing on me so bad. I received some messages from people telling me to have a conversation with my husband. I decided to. I thought for quite a while about what I would say, how I would say it, and tried to think of questions or statements he would have that I thought about responses to. Last night we had a talk. Kids were at work and at friends' houses. We were sitting outside enjoying the fresh evening air. I brought it up. In short, nothing went as expected and I am as confused about my marriage as I ever was. I began by telling him that I love him. I love that he is a great father and person. However, there were some feelings I could not shake and there were some changes from him that I needed. I talked about his hobbies, changing it up a bit. Working in our bedroom, what I wanted out of it. I explained in the most sensitive way that I could about how I feel about his personality and overall measure as a man. I did not use those exact words. I was more gentle. However, in order to move forward with our marriage, I felt I needed to be honest. I did tell him that I wanted honesty from him as well and wanted him to tell me what I could do to be a better wife. I know I cannot ask him to change without having some changes myself. I never expected his reaction. He literally just stared at me. Said nothing. His reaction was emotionless. No anger, sadness, acceptance, nothing. Just stared. I said everything I wanted to say. I was looking for a response. I got none. After sitting in silence for a while, waiting for some reaction or words, I just yelled at him to say something. At least tell me what I need to work on. The only thing he said to me last night was, I knew who you were when I married you, I am not going to ask you to change anything. That's it. We sat in silence for at least an hour after that. Our oldest then came home from work, and he went to talk to him for a while. Not about our conversation, but how work went and stuff. My husband did not sleep in bed last night. He slept on the basement couch. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. I do feel better about telling him how I felt, but not as great as I thought. I really do not know how to feel. Maybe that's a sign my marriage is over? I can't feel anything about it. I should be happy I said it, sad he won't talk to me, angry for no response, but I have nothing. I guess I'll give it some time for both of us to process. Update 2. I apologize again, I still do not know how to post my previous updates or the original post. Please look at my history. My last update I laid out what happened while talking to my husband. He spent that night and last night on the couch downstairs sleeping. We haven't talked about our conversation. He has talked to me, but not about that, and the talks we have are short. We have had our kids around all weekend, so I never have gotten the opportunity to sit down with him, and with him sleeping downstairs, I figured to just give him some space. I don't know how to proceed. I have talked with a coworker about this, just to get advice since I needed someone in my life to talk to. He advised me to give it a bit of time to let my husband talk to me. But if there's no change offered by him, then it may be time to tell him that we need to separate. I don't want to do that, but it may come to that. I want him to see where I'm coming from, and I want him to tell me what I can do to change. That is where we are at. No real big update, but I will give him until the end of the week. If he doesn't initiate anything, I will. Edit. Okay, I had to edit this post because there have been some comments about my coworker. I had these feelings about my husband before I talked with my coworker. We are not having an affair, we are not doing anything inappropriate. He is giving me some guidance because he is a man and I figured he could help. Nothing more than that. Also, please stop calling me names because I have these feelings and am trying to navigate them with my husband. I cannot help my feelings any more than you can help yours. Think about that. Think about an off feeling you had and wish you didn't have. It's happened to everyone, including you. So please stop. Update 3. This is not so much an update but a repeat of the edit on my previous update. I am not having an affair with my coworker. I went to him after I was having these feelings about my husband. For advice only. There is no emotional or physical affair going on. I go to him for advice, he gives it and I either take it or I don't. He is not pushing me to do anything, it's just his advice. I literally have no other friends or family in this area, or I would have gone to them. Also, these are my feelings about my husband. I have tried very hard not to feel this way, but I can't stop. I don't know how many of the angels and pure people on this app are able to control their feelings so well, but you obviously are better than I am. None of you have ever had feelings you couldn't shake or feel bad about. If you say you have, you are a liar. I posted my feelings because I am genuinely confused, scared and don't know what to do. I feel that you guys just bash but provide no answers. There have been some of you that have been beautiful and helpful, sending me DMs, and I thank you for that. The rest of you in the comments, think before you post. If you don't want to provide sound advice, please just move on. Final update. Okay, I'm done. Not so much an update, but I have been getting so much hate for simply looking for advice. Comments, DMs, all have been just blasting me. I am not going to post on this anymore. What happens between my husband and I will remain between us. This was the stupidest decision, posting on here and then continuing to post on here. I am not cheating on my husband. It's a coworker. We have talked a few times about it. We only texted a couple of times. We don't talk about feelings for one another. Just someone I asked for a little guidance from, and he was nice enough to give it. Yes, my husband is a good man. No, I am not a piece of crap for having the feelings I do. I stand by talking to him about my feelings, because that is what people do in a marriage. If my marriage is over because he cannot accept what I have to say or change the small things I want him to change, then so be it. But I am done posting. Thank you to the people of Reddit for absolutely nothing. Am I the A for defending a bride who left her groom at the altar after learning of his alleged affair, causing family turmoil and accusations? Okay, so boom, me and my husband attended a wedding. It was his cousin/niece's wedding. I'm not sure how to describe the relationship, but they were close growing up. The wedding was a bit unique. There was a brunch before the actual ceremony with the bride and groom. Then for an hour the wedding party left to get ready while all the guests were still at brunch, then the actual ceremony and the real reception was supposed to happen after. I thought everything was normal. At the brunch the couple looked happy and excited and a little nervous maybe. My husband had told me there had been a little drama leading up to the wedding because the groom's family insisted that the groom's ex should attend the wedding because they have a good relationship. The ex is an EMT and she apparently saved mother-in-law's life once. The bride didn't want the ex to attend but she caved in. At the actual ceremony, as you might have guessed from the title, the bride never showed. After a few minutes of awkward silence with the music playing as we waited for the bride's father came and told everyone she left. Groom was crying. The mother-in-law was screaming it was such a huge mess. At the reception they basically just told people to take boxes of food so it didn't go to waste. Since a lot of family was in town for the wedding, the bride's side of the family was hosting a reunion. At the reunion the bride said the reason she left the groom at the altar was because at the brunch the ex told her that she slept with the groom and apparently showed the bride a sex tape she made with the groom. Bride was distraught and left because she didn't want to marry a cheater. The groom's side of the family were slandering the bride on every social media platform possible. So the bride's side decided to fire back and they were publicly accusing the groom of cheating on her and it was just a big shit storm. Groom comes to the bride's house to try and clear things up. So the groom didn't actually cheat on the bride. The sex tape was from years and years ago. The groom's appearance just hadn't changed that much, so the bride believed the ex when she said it was recent. The ex was just trying to break them up. The ex confessed to it too. To my surprise, instead of everyone being angry at the ex, everyone turned on the bride. Her family was pissed at her for wasting money, being gullible, not letting the groom defend himself first. Everyone was yelling at her. I thought it was crazy, so I spoke up in her defense. I would have believed it too if there was video evidence plus the fact that she was practically forced into the ex attending their wedding. Now the whole family is against me and the bride and it's so awkward and everyone is acting cold. My husband is upset because she now feels like if someone accused him of cheating on me I'd just take their word for it, but I feel that's completely unfair. Mini update. Okay, so my hubby came back to the hotel room and I showed him a post because he knows I like using Reddit. I mentioned a specific comment to him where one Redditor asked me how we are sure the tape was old and that the groom and ex aren't just covering their affair up by lying and saying it's old. I told my husband and at first he laughed, but he started to think about the whole situation, I guess. While hubby was still at the bride's house trying to help with the situation after I left, the environment was getting too much for me, so I went back to the hotel. The groom had been groveling to the bride. Even though he was exonerated by ex admitting it was fake, he was still being very apologetic, which threw my husband off a bit. Like, even though he maintained he didn't cheat. Instead of the husband being angry about being left at the altar and publicly humiliated, he seemed to just want wife to forgive him. I thought this would be normal because the groom probably feels horrible about allowing the ex to ruin the day and hurt the wife like that, but my husband said it was unusual behavior for the groom. Apparently the groom is the high horse type and he would never apologize for a mistake that wasn't his. Husband knows the groom better than me, so my husband thinks it's plausible that the groom did cheat by the way he's acting, but he's not gonna bring it up because of how high tensions are and it might just make things worse. I also explained how and why I felt like my husband was being unfair to me by saying he thinks I'd believe anyone who accused him of cheating on me. He apologized and told me he was just stressed out earlier and he feels like we wasted money on this trip and went to see our kid for days over this wedding that got blown up over a lie. Bride texted me thanking me for defending her. Most of the slandering social media posts were taken down. The ex posted on social media playing victim. Well, not really, but she's posting like heartbreak stuff and those fucking depressed Bart Simpson memes. At her big age. The groom's mother pulled up the bride's house after I left and was threatening to burn the place down, because she was mad the bride humiliated her son over a lie because it was such a huge wedding, he had many co-workers and stuff there. I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm tired and it's been a long ass day. Edit in question. A few people are saying I should show this post to the bride, but I'm a bit scared she won't react well to me putting her business online because I don't know her that well, but at the same time I feel like she might appreciate that most people are on her side. But also I don't really want her to see my conspiracy theory about how the husband actually cheated on her because there's no actual proof. Should I? I had to protect my husband's niece from a pit bull attack while he ran off. I've been ignoring him since then. Should I forgive him for this? I'm going to start with this. I'm still a bit traumatized. I will be finding someone to talk to, and a friend made this account for me because I am not a frequent user. I don't know if the pit bull made it. I haven't asked. My husband, his niece, nephew and I were in our backyard. I assume our gate was open. I can't remember. The pit bull came out of nowhere and latched onto his niece, 5F. My niece screamed. I turned and kicked it with all the force I could manage. I was lucky enough to hit it in the jaw somewhere that made its jaw dislodge. My husband, who had been a few feet away, shouted something like, "Whose dog is this?" I told him to get our bear spray from the house. I was in a panic. I am an animal lover, but it was so insane. The pit bull seemed almost rabid. In hindsight, I don't think it was. It wasn't foaming at the mouth, it was just crazed. My husband ran, but not towards the house. He literally ran out the fence gate and shut it behind him, not towards his niece or nephew. who was also present in an outdoor bassinet that I managed to toss onto the picnic table to make sure it was out of the dog's reach. While holding his niece over my shoulder, I put her on the BBQ to keep her out of reach. The dog was literally jumping and snapping, and I was worried that if I tried to carry her, I'm short, it would manage to grab her out of my hands. It chased me when I ran for the shovel, but then I swung at it. And I swung until it stopped. I don't think I will ever forget the sound or feeling. It was so high stress I didn't even realize that it had bitten me twice. I haven't spoken to him for a full week, even though we live in the same house. I didn't ask where he went. He only came back a few minutes later to pack us into the car and drive us to the hospital. He's getting angry that I'm giving him the silent treatment, but I feel like it's his fault that I had to possibly end that animal. If he had gotten the bear spray, I literally keep it in my purse in case I'm ever attacked by an animal or otherwise, then I don't think I would have needed to do what I did. It was literally just inside the door. He knows where I keep it. Instead, he took off to God knows where. Me and 2 children, that I'm not even related to, could have died. It might not even be relevant, but I don't even like kids. I am staunchly child-free, and he is the one who offered us up to babysit for the weekend. I don't know, is this grounds for divorce? I'm not sure I can even look at him. Any attraction I had to him is pretty much gone. He tried to touch me yesterday. Just to move me so he could pass, and I smacked his hand away without even thinking about it like he was some stranger at a bar because it was literally jarring. He's just been skulking around, trying to talk to me, then getting frustrated, then skulking more. I wasn't expecting him to be macho and fistfight the freaking dog, but at least follow instructions. At least not leave me in a life and death situation with a toddler and an infant. Should I be able to chalk this up to in the moment panic? I don't even know if I want to hear him out. Relevant comments. Commenter. If it makes you feel better, that dog would have been considered dangerous and put down either way. You defended yourself and the children from an unprovoked attack. You were so courageous and saved the kids' lives. Be proud of yourself. OP, I know that consciously, I think, but thank you for saying that because I just feel so terrible. Commenter, downvoted. He absolutely might. Do it again. Would you feel differently if he told you that he was bitten by a dog when he was small? And he just couldn't stop himself from running away? I'm not trying to excuse him. People have flaws, and you have to decide if you can tolerate them or not. OP. No, I wouldn't really. Seeing as I was attacked pretty badly by a dog when I was young, around 10, 11, I still have scars on my thigh. I still like dogs, and I would like to think I reacted appropriately in the situation. Those kids could have died. I could barely stomach explaining his niece's injuries to his sister. I was bawling, apologizing that I didn't do more. I can't imagine if something worse had happened. To a longer comment, we used to camp. I had trusted that he would be able to react appropriately. Also, he doesn't have any childhood incidents regarding animals that I know of. I actually do. I was attacked by a German Shepherd pretty badly, but I still like dogs. Commenter, downvoted. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Everyone reacts differently to treat stress. In the middle of a crisis, some people panic and cannot follow instructions or even hear instructions. They're just in flight or freezing. These reactions aren't really something we can control. I mean, you don't even like kids, and your instinct was to protect and fight. I'd talk to him about it. OP. I'm trying to. I keep telling myself to try and then I see him and I remember him freaking running. I don't know if I want to be with someone whose reaction is flight at all. Even if it comes naturally. One more thought from OP. If his niece and nephew had died, I just don't think anyone would give a damn about his instincts. That's the thing, because they could have. Why should he have to protect you? Would you protect him? I expect us to protect each other, I guess is what I mean. I didn't expect him to take one for the team. I expected him to have my back. Update. My friend said that people update often, but I don't know how to attach it to the other post. I thought I'd update since a few things have happened. Sorry if this is needlessly long. I didn't expect this to get so many comments and kindnesses. I want to say I'm so sorry to everyone who has experienced anything similar because, my God, it has not been easy. For everyone worried about my mental health, I got an appointment through an app with my work yesterday because I decided I really needed it and labeled it high priority. However, it felt like just a preliminary meeting. She said she wanted to get me feeling a bit more comfortable because I was visibly tensing up whenever I started talking about it, and she even noticed it through the video chat. Last night, I also told my husband I needed space. I apologize that I don't have more of an update on our relationship than that. I wasn't as nice as I wanted to be. He argued and didn't want to leave. It's my house. But I told him I just didn't want to look at him, that I couldn't look at him. He cried, and I hate that I felt apathetic towards it. I haven't slept well, so I'm not sure if I'm just overtired and still so shaken. I was also emotionally exhausted after the appointment, so that might have added to it. I got a few questions about his sister and her husband, so I thought I'd answer. They aren't speaking with him. I don't know when it happened. I was definitely out of it at the hospital while I was getting the stitches and everything, but I do think after I was done blubbering and trying to explain how something so terrible happened to their little girl under our watch, they apparently asked him where he was. I still haven't talked to him about where he went, so I don't know. However, it clearly didn't satisfy them. His niece just got out of the hospital yesterday, so that really triggered everything and a lot happened. I had sent flowers, a bear, and this one toy she'd been asking about. I didn't go to the hospital though. I was scared seeing me would make her nervous. But his sister and her husband sent me flowers too, and it made me bawl again. I'm just a freaking mess, honestly. The father sent me a long message that I haven't been able to get through, but it's the sweetest thing anyone's ever sent me. He also sent me a $1,000 Visa card. I literally thought I was reading the amount wrong. They are good people, and I still feel terrible that I couldn't have done more for her. Everything's just replaying in my head. Anyway, I obviously haven't looked into filing yet, but I am not against the idea of it, and it really did help me feel better about wanting a divorce over this. I know fight or flight can't be helped, but now I think I realize that it's okay not to want to be with someone who would leave you behind. I think I can say I'm a fighter, and I want a fighter with me. Maybe he'd be better off with a runner instead too. Then he at least wouldn't be leaving someone behind. I don't know. It feels like I'm done. But I'm also just a mess, so right now I'm just glad I have space. Thank you to everyone for making me feel like I wasn't being ridiculous. I think it always feels like there should be multiple issues that tear a marriage apart, unless it's infidelity or something, and it's like I know he may not have meant to betray me, but he still did. Whatever his reasoning. Not sure when I'll be speaking to him, but I will try to update then. Relevant comments. Commenter, I'm so sorry you went through such a horrible experience. It sounds like the parents are thankful you protected their children at risk to your own safety. I know I'd never be able to repay you if they were my kids you protected. I'm glad you have gotten the therapy ball rolling. I wish you and your niece a speedy recovery. That little girl is always going to know how you saved her, and I'm sure you'll always be her aunt, regardless of whether you stay in your marriage or not. I'm so proud of you. OP. They're good people. His message was really soothing to read because I still feel guilty about how badly hurt she was from that initial bite. But she's home now, and I'm glad. I don't know how it works with children in therapy because she's so young, but I hope they get her some. Commenter, downvoted. I read the original post and I understand you. The man doesn't have a masculine bone in his body. Doubt he will ever be a protector. You are in a tough spot and hopefully things get better. OP, I don't need him to be a protector, just to have my back. Which I thought he did, but now I don't believe he would do that anymore. OP's support system. I have a decent support system. Though my family isn't close by, they've been messaging and video chatting with me a lot. Hours-long group chats. I think my mom has been trying not to give too much of her opinion on my relationship though. She was more focused on making sure I knew how to clean my wound and finding counseling, etc. She's a former nurse. Am I the A for ruining my best friend's wedding and losing our friendship because I wore a gold dress to the ceremony? I will link the dress. I put gold in quotation marks because I think it's more bronze orange, but maybe I'm splitting hairs and AMTA. Some context. My 30F best friend Dan, 30M, got married to Lauren, 27F, yesterday. Dan and I have been best friends since high school, and despite always being platonic with no romantic interests on either side, his now wife Lauren has always disliked me. In their 3 years of dating I have not been allowed to see Dan alone because she feels that it's suspicious that I want to hang out with him. Honestly, I just missed my friend. Despite me being happily married, she's always kept me at arm's length. I always figured this was because she's from a very conservative family. Dan has spoken to her multiple times and after she'll back off for a bit before reverting to complaining about him being friends with a girl again. It's not ideal, but she makes Dan happy, so I made my peace with it. That brings us to the wedding. Originally I was going to be in the groom's party, but Lauren ended up crying saying a wedding is not a place to swap gender roles. Dan was fighting her on this, but I told him I'll just attend as a guest, and not to choose this hill to die on. The dress code was warm tone garden party, and we were encouraged to wear earthy warm colors. I picked out a bronze/orange dress that I thought fit this perfectly, and the style even matched some examples they gave. In short, I thought I had nailed it. The wedding went great, however at the reception Lauren dragged me aside and said, "I cannot believe you would wear gold to my wedding. You're not the first prize, you're just *** king trashy." I was so shocked the moment I just stared at her. She practically screamed at me to leave and she was drawing attention, so I grabbed my husband, said goodbye to Dan and left. Dan reached out after and told me he was upset I left his wedding so soon. Lauren's mom has texted me saying I ruined the wedding for her daughter and I'm stupid for wearing a gold dress. She's saying it's as bad as wearing white. I was genuinely not aware this was a thing. I want to reach out to Dan to explain, but I don't know if I'm in the wrong here. AITA, relevant comments. Any chance you or Dan have a crush on each other? I am happily married, and Dan and I would rather eat glass than have anything romantic happen between us. We are just not each other's type and see each other as siblings. I genuinely don't think Dan has ever secretly liked me either. Commenter, downvoted. While I believe you, I have to think Dan has made comments about you around his wife for her to go so nuclear on you. Not to be weird, but how would you rate your attractiveness compared with hers? Are you similar or is there a big gap in your attractiveness? OP, that's hard to answer, we are two totally different people. I think we are both attractive in our own way. I am your Barbie stereotype 5'11", blonde hair with a six-pack. She's a petite brunette bombshell with a beautiful tan and a full figure. I'm also a good 2 inches taller than Dan, hence he's not my type, I'm not his. So it's comparing apples and oranges. But I do get your point. Commenter, have you and Dan ever had a convo about why you aren't allowed to be alone with him? OP, not just me but any woman. She doesn't believe in platonic friendships with the opposite sex. Why does Lauren's mom have your number? Can't you just forward that message to Dan? My guess is the group chat from the hen's party. Lauren didn't have bridesmaids and her mom organized the hen's night with a group text chat. Honestly, my husband told me they were acting crazy. I just needed an outside opinion before I called Dan, so hubby said I should post here. How were you going to be a part of the groom's party if she didn't have any bridesmaids? She technically had her mom as a MOH figure, I guess. She stood up there with her and organized the hen's party. But they were just going to go with unequal numbers and in the end, he just had his brother there with him. Update. Wow guys, I genuinely didn't know what to expect posting to strangers on this, but I am so thankful to my husband for suggesting this. I needed a non-biased view on this wearing gold to a wedding issue, and now it's clear that that was never the issue. Many of you asked if the dress I wore stood out, and honestly I know I'm biased saying this, but I genuinely don't think so. Another girl was wearing the exact same dress but in a dark red, which we had a laugh about. Slip dresses are a pretty common wedding guest dress where I am, and it was the type of dress that was recommended by the bride. I think many of you were right in saying that it was never about the dress, but how I looked wearing it. I do want to start this update by thanking my husband who suggested I post here and having a ball reading your comments since posting, and even posting a photo of us this morning with a caption along the lines of "my gold prize of a wife, I am winning in life thanks to you." Turns out Dan found out pretty quickly what actually happened and called me last night. Apparently Lauren's mom had told him I was really drunk and told Lauren her dress wasn't it, so I was requested to leave. Dan had his suspicions that it was bullsh*t, but it wasn't until his mom called him that confirmed it. Turns out she was nearby when Lauren pulled me aside and ironically was actually wearing a yellow gold dress and tore him a new one about letting Lauren treat me like that. Dan didn't have a solution when he called. I could tell he was emotionally exhausted and pretty defeated. He said he wished I had taken it out on the open bar rather than leaving, but he understood why I left. He thanked me for taking the high road and that it hasn't gone unnoticed. He apologized for what happened. Apparently this is an ongoing fight between him and Lauren. For all of those who said Lauren just hates me, it turns out it's 100% true. Apparently, she has been trying to convince Dan to cut me off because that's what a good husband does. He said he thought she had gotten over it now that they were married. I told him that he needs to focus on his happiness and that I will always be here to support him and that I will take a step back if that's what he needs. They were supposed to leave for their honeymoon yesterday. But when Dan called they were still at home, so who knows? I've blocked Lauren and her mom and forwarded the messages to Dan as recommended. Thanks again everyone for your comments and judgment. New update. So, it's been a couple of months and a bit has happened. The situation seemed to resonate with quite a few people, so I thought I would provide a final update. Thank you to everyone who has messaged. It did help me feel a little less crazy during this time. And to the person who let me know I can simply post an update here, thank you. I had no idea how this all worked. So, Lauren ended up finding the post on TikTok and was understandably pissed. She called me from Dan's phone and started screaming at me, saying I had ruined her wedding and that I knew what I was doing wearing a dress like that to the wedding. After the initial shock of expecting Dan and getting Lauren screaming, I yelled, What kind of dress? The same cut that Amy wore? Someone else has worn the same dress but in a different color. F***ck I just can't win with you? Dress nicely and I'm out to get you. Dress casually and I'm taking the P***ss. I've tried so hard with you but I'm done. And hung up. I messaged Dan, I clearly can't be in your life with everything the way it is right now. Good luck, I'll always be a call away. Before blocking the number, which broke my heart. That was 3 months ago and I didn't hear anything except from Dan's mother saying Lauren wouldn't stop complaining about me, and life continued. In this time I also discovered I'm pregnant. Me and hubby made a post a couple of weeks ago announcing this, which is on its way to Dan, turned up at my front door a few days after. We talked over many drinks on his end and mocktails on mine. He told me that he always thought it was the right thing to do to listen to your partner's boundaries and insecurities, and that Lauren has a lot of body image issues which resulted in her being suspicious of other women, so he thought the right thing was to support her, but he got lost in setting his own boundaries when it came to how she controlled his interactions with his friends. He said the whole situation forced him to think about her boundaries and her own personal standards, and saw that they consistently contradict each other. Like, she believes, rightly so, that women are allowed to wear whatever they feel comfortable in, but she would complain that I was unreasonable for wearing bikinis to family beach days because it was inappropriate. Dan also realized she was trying to cut out his sister, and literally every woman in his life, including his boss, insisting he get another job. By the time he had heard about my pregnancy, he told me he didn't want to be an absent friend through this, and so had a serious conversation with Lauren. I won't go into details, but the result was that they are currently separated and both in therapy. Dan asked Lauren to move out and she is currently staying with her mom, who is apparently convinced I'm the devil. Whilst I am sad for Dan's relationship having to end like this, I am happy to see that he is starting to learn what a healthy relationship is and that he will be able to be my friend through my pregnancy. My husband is excited to have his gaming buddy back. I reached out to Lauren with Dan's permission, letting her know I'm here to talk in a therapy session if she felt like it would help, but I haven't received a response yet, and maybe that's for the best. I can't help but feel bad on some days, because I know that a lot of this is born from insecurity. But I'm trying to focus on the positives that both of them are in therapy, and hopefully we'll move on to bigger and better things. I'm sorry if this update is a bit scattered as well. Pregnancy brain has been hitting me hard. This update has been read and approved by Dan. OP's comment: thank you, we are very excited. And while I can't talk to Lauren's motivations, I do agree that whatever issues you are going through are not an excuse to push unfair boundaries. I am in awe of Dan's strength that he has shown in the last couple of weeks. If they continue their relationship, I know it will be on better terms for both of them. My girlfriend asked for an open, poly relationship. I said no, and now she's acting strange. What should I do? My girlfriend, 28, and I, 26, have been in a relationship for 3 years and a few months now, but not long ago she started sliding in hints before telling me that she wants to try an open or poly relationship. She asked about this before at the start of our relationship, and I thought that I made it clear that I was monogamous and not interested in that. Now she's asking again and saying how we could both even share a girlfriend, or we could be open and hook up with whomever. I told her no and asked her why she was pushing this again. She said that it could be a way to spice up our sex life, and I said something like, okay, well, I'm not into that, you know that. So no go. She got agitated and said to just try it, which pissed me off, and again said no. This conversation happened a little over 2 weeks ago and she still seems to be pissed off about it, not really talking to me and sleeping in the guest room. I've tried to get her to talk to me about it, but she just brushes me off and says that it's not important anymore. I've been venting to friends about it, and a few of my friends brought up that maybe she's already cheated or is cheating and is trying to cover it up, or maybe she has someone in mind that she wants to bang. I doubted it at first, but now I wonder because she has been a little more distant and just overall off, even before the whole open relationship talk. We haven't been having sex as often as we used to, but I chalk that up to it being because of my hectic work schedule. I'm not sure what to do. I'm afraid that if I start digging that I won't like what I find. Edit. I'm going to either snoop on her phone or confront her about it. I love her, but I also don't want to be played with. If she's hiding something, I will find out. From the comments. Comment 1. If you're afraid to dig because you don't like what you'll find, well, that's understandable. I would be too. But it's no good way to live. OP replies, true. I've been debating if I could sneak her phone really quick. Comment 2, she's either already having sex with someone else or has someone she wants to. Did you know she was bi before you started dating? OP replies, I'm bi and she's lesbian, or as much as I know. She said that she dated a boy in middle and high school but started dating girls in late high school, if my memory serves me right. Update. It's super late but I'm numb, sobering up and just can't fucking sleep. This fucking sucks but I need to get this off my chest and out my head. So a few days ago I posted about how my GF of 3 years asked me for an open relationship or to try a poly relationship. I actually got to sit her down to talk the next day after posting about it and asked her why she brought it up again. She asked in the past, in the beginning of our relationship, after dating for so long. She repeated that she just wanted to spice up our love life and I asked her, how would that spice things up though? The only one who's gonna find it sexy is you because you know that I'm not into that. She said something about how I should be open-minded about it because so many people wish they had a partner like her that would be okay with them screwing other people. I said yeah, if they were into that then I'd get that. After a little more back and forth and talking in circles I just said listen, if you want to screw someone else then just say that. However, we'll be over. I love you but if you want this then you should go be with someone that would give you what you want cause I can't. I thought that she'd be a little remorseful or apologize or anything but what she told me. I assume she thought that I just broke up with her because she just got pissed and screamed out, oh so we're over? Fine. I've been screwing her guy friend. Anyways and I'm pregnant. Yeah my lesbian GF is fucking pregnant by a fucking friend of ours. My hands are shaking just thinking about this again. I tried to hold it together but I just couldn't and I tried to kick her out but she wouldn't leave so I left for a friend's place and have been here over the weekend. My now ex kept calling me but I only answered and told her to get her shit together and move out and go live with the douchebag, who I deleted and blocked because I would lose my shit on him at that time, then turned off my phone. I turned my phone back on this morning and my ex left messages. I called her, to get closure if anything, and asked her how long. She said since December when I went out of town. I asked if they fucked in my bed and she said yes. I asked if this was the reason for the open relationship BS and she again said yes. Lastly, I asked if she was planning to keep the baby and still stay with me, and she said yes. I just hung up. I've deleted and blocked her on everything for now because I just need to distance myself right now. I'm gonna see if I can break my lease on the APT we shared because now that I know that they've been fooling around in there, I don't want it anymore. For now though, I'm just chilling at my friend's and will probably be here until I can get out of my lease. I have no more tears left. I can't tell if I'm in shock or emotionally broken. I took some time off work but I don't know how I'll ever get back to normal after this. Thanks for the advice from my previous post. I'ma try to get some sleep now. From the comments, OOP is advised to get tested and change her passwords etc. In addition, the question of how the baby was supposed to fit into a lesbian relationship is brought up several times. Comment 1. Geez. She's a terrible person and you did the right thing pushing the issue. And I'm amazed and shocked that she thought you were going to be okay raising someone's baby. I'm so sorry you're going through this. OOP replies. Thing is that I love kids and she knows that. If and a huge if, this was an accidental pregnancy due to us being open I probably would have stayed. It's definitely different in this case obviously. I still can't get over how freaking ridiculous this is. I honestly wish it was a joke. Comment 2A. I mean, what was the plan here? Surprise. I'm pregnant. Like how did she think she was going to explain that one without outing herself as a cheater? Comment 2B. I guess the plan was let's be poly, whoops, got pregnant but you agreed to being poly so you cannot be mad at me. OOP replies, honestly that's the only thing that makes sense to me. It was a dumb idea but I guess it would have worked in her head. Comment 3. You might want to get a lawyer and research how child support works in your circumstance. The last thing you want to do is pay for this child. OOP replies, yeah I'm safe unless I magically started making sperm and grew a member. This actually made me laugh a little because she kinda tried to make me a baby daddy. Laugh to keep from crying as they say new update. OP updates on her profile the 16th of August 2022, 1 month later. So first things first, thank you all for your support and advice. I really appreciate it. The good news that night I posted my last update, I definitely wasn't in a good headspace, but I allowed myself to grieve for a few days then got right to work. I went and got tested and I'm clean, no HIV or STDs, thank God. I went to my landlord and I told her the situation as well as had a formal letter typed up just in case. She's always been a nice lady and was kind enough to offer me a cheaper apartment that I could move into easily if I wanted to but I decided to just move out of this complex. So I'll need to pay this month's rent, my ex won't pay her half so. Then my part of the lease will be officially broken. I don't know, or care to know, if my ex will break or take over the lease but that's on her. I've already got a place lined up and will be rooming with another close friend of mine. Bad news, it was about a day after I posted my last update that my ex just showed up to the friend's house that I was staying at. I don't know how she found out, but we do have a pocket full of friends, so it's not that hard. I was under the influence and numb and didn't want to see her, but she kept pushing it and refused to leave. At first I came out and told her that we should talk outside, then I closed the door behind her. She still refused to leave, so I stepped outside to talk to her. Or she talked and I just stared at her. She started with apologizing and trying to put the blame on me being busy all the time, which, yeah, I was working a lot, but every free time I had was spent with her. Then she said we weren't having enough sex, then saying that the sex meant nothing with the guy, and then somehow it took a turn to her saying that now we could start a family without a paid donor. I just remember going off on her and calling her out for screwing the guy repeatedly and then trying to cover it up with some bullshit. She started crying and yelling back, but I told her to just go back to a baby daddy and tried to go back inside, but she pulled on my shirt trying to stop me and I sorta pulled away hard to get away. About a day after that, my friend told me that she posted about how she left me for being abusive and that it drove her into the arms of the father of her baby, along with pics of them together apparently. The douchebag even tried to back her up on that bullshit, but almost every mutual friend of ours knew what really happened by then and they absolutely blasted her until she took the post down. Goodbye and good fucking riddance to both of them. I only feel bad that the baby will have such immature parents. Other than that, I'll probably take some time to get away after settling down in my new place. I'm not gonna hold on to that pain anymore. I did love her with all my heart and thought she was my forever, but she betrayed me in a way that I could never imagine. She knew about my past relationship and promised to never hurt me the way my ex did. I guess she didn't lie about that since that ex never cheated on me, lied and manipulated, sure. I'm taking a break from love right now. Maybe I'll get a pet to start my healing journey from here. Am I the A for leaving my boyfriend after nearly 2 years of dating because he bought lingerie for his best friend as a joke? My boyfriend, 28, and I, 24, have been together for a year and a half. I love him a lot, and he has been pretty amazing to me. He is also the sort of person who has lots of friends and his close friends are pretty much family. He also loves to joke and play these harmless pranks on his friends, which sometimes makes me feel weird. Just for context, he has 2 female friends and 3 male friends. This is about my BF and one of his friends, Claire, 28. Claire is a nice woman and we are friendly. My boyfriend also has never ignored me in favor of his friends or talked over me in front of them. Which is why I don't understand if I'm in the right. They, my boyfriend's friends, had a recently escalated prank fight. I had made it clear to my BF that I am not good at jokes and am rather stiff, and he said he would keep me out of it. Claire, my boyfriend, and another friend Kyle, 27, even had a huge throwing water balloons fight in Kyle's backyard. Then my boyfriend got pranked with dye in his body wash. Then Kyle got pranked by Claire, something about whipping cream and oven mitts. But the issue was when my boyfriend brought a red, lacy, lingerie set and he planned to put it in Claire's room the next time he went over. I said it was a tacky prank, and why would he buy lingerie? None of the previous pranks have been of this kind, and it makes me really uncomfortable. I also felt like if I was Claire, I would feel gross about it. But my boyfriend got mad and defensive and told me Claire is cool like that, and she would think it's funny. I admit, I get a bit weirded out when he calls Claire extremely beautiful and jokes about how she has always been way out of his league. But I thought it was nothing and they were like family, so I guess it was their thing. However, the lingerie prank had me put my foot down and I said that he was wrong to give another woman lingerie, no matter who, when he had a girlfriend. We fought, and I said I wanted to break up, which he didn't want to, and I said that I was just overreacting. He said that I was too conservative and needed to open my mind when he had never given me a reason to be insecure. Claire called me and said that she and my BF have been friends for a long time, and inside jokes are just that, and I'll learn with more age. I still feel weird about this. My best friend is supportive of me no matter what I do, but I have started to feel like I'm blowing this out of proportion. My boyfriend says that the fact that he told me and didn't hide it from me shows that I'm the problem. I have started to feel like I've blown this out of proportion and maybe it's my fault I can't take a joke. I really feel awful about this whole thing. AITA. Edit. The people asking what the prank is with the lingerie. Apparently, it's an inside joke about how during their college days she had some problems with the color red, and the lingerie would have just given her a shock of some kind, I guess. I told my boyfriend it was cruel, but he said it wasn't a trauma thing, just an inside joke. Claire also said over the phone that the lingerie thing was just an inside joke of their college days. Update. My inbox got flooded with DMs and had to turn off Reddit notifications. When I posted this, I was ready to be called immature and ridiculous and get a couple of comments, but it seemed like the post blew up, and the comments were kind of eye-opening. TBH, before all this fiasco, my BF has always been nice to me. Came with me to my grad school functions even though he found them very boring, but would do it so that I could network. He builds stuff like furniture and helps out with handiwork all the time. He is also very funny, and at the very beginning, I thought all his jokes were funny. And I sometimes wondered why he wanted to be with me, plus, I was always busy with school and job interviews. His mom and I had even gotten close, and she has been saying how happy she was that we were together. I had always ignored his and Claire's weird dynamic because I told myself I was being insecure. I have male friends too, and I thought that just because we aren't like that, doesn't mean my BF and Claire can't be close. Claire has also never been outright mean to me. She was just aloof, and I thought it was because I was new to the group. To the actual update, my BF and I broke up. I'm sorry guys, but even after seeing so many replies on how he was cheating, I refuse to believe it. I'm still in love with this guy. And he called me, like half a day after I wrote this post, and asked to meet. I met him. And he said that he understood where I was coming from. But I was always too uptight to understand that friendship is friendship. He and Claire had known each other for years before I came into the picture, and I cannot expect him to just ruin their dynamic. I asked him what sort of dynamic was red lingerie. Why couldn't it be literally any other type of clothing? He told me he had it with my insecurities. And that he and Claire talked, and apparently I was making them sound like cheaters and homewreckers. And that he thought it was better I found someone like me, who thought the idea of a fun night was junk food and a movie indoors. That hurt a lot. He had always known I had insecurities about being called boring. He always complimented me on how his weaknesses were my strengths. Now he says things like this to me? Also, before this lingerie fiasco, I had never said a word about his and Claire's friendship. I always supported his pranks and practical jokes no matter my opinions on them because I thought it was his business what he did with his hobbies. And he leaves without even putting up a fight because his girlfriend didn't want him giving lingerie to the woman he constantly refers to as his sexy bestie. Claire didn't call or text after the breakup either. But Kyle did and said that he was sad that we broke up and he hoped I would be okay in the future. I asked him if my BF ever cheated on me. He said that my BF had only been a one-woman man when he was dating me, but he could understand that some women can't handle female best friends, especially if they look like Claire. I told him to fuck off and blocked him. It felt like he only wanted to gloat and hurt me because my BF left. I feel like I never knew these people. Claire and Kyle were always at least decent to me if not nice. Did it make me a free target now that my BF has been telling his friends I'm an insecure child? I don't know what to do now. I have been told repeatedly by both my friends and sister that I dodged a bullet. But I have been breaking down like a kid again and again. I'm even thinking of going to therapy, after feeling the most insecure I've felt my whole life. Thank you to all who were supportive. It seems like my now ex-BF just did the work for me. My stepdaughter passed away 4 weeks ago and I caught my husband and his ex-wife together in our bed. My stepdaughter Becca, 14, died 4 weeks ago. I've been in her life since she was 7 years old. We were extremely close. My husband Derek, 40, his ex-wife Sam, 38, and I, 35, get along very well. There has never been an issue in the 7 years that I've been with Derek. Sam has always been kind to me. She didn't even care that Becca called me mom too. Right after Becca's passing, Sam had so much anxiety and depression that she was unable to be by herself. She has no family besides us, so we invited her to stay with us. Sam hardly leaves the house. She mostly just sleeps in Becca's room, which is completely understandable. I always tell her that I'm here if she needs me and that I want her to take her time grieving and that there is no pressure to go back to her home. Today I needed to run some errands, so I asked Sam if she'd like to join me to get out of the house a little bit, but she declined and said she'd rather just stay at the house and sleep. I told Derek that I was leaving and that I would be back in 2-ish hours. He works from home. I also told him to check on Sam every once in a while, and maybe try getting her to eat something. After stopping at the post office, I realized I forgot my library book that I needed to return, so I went back home to get it. As soon as I walked in the door, I heard moaning coming from mine and Derek's bedroom. I immediately knew what was happening. And my heart completely broke at that moment. I wasn't completely sure what to do, but I ended up deciding to confront them, so I walked to the bedroom and opened the door and began yelling at them both. Sam started having an anxiety attack and ran to the bathroom while Derek kept apologizing profusely. I asked him what the hell was happening. He told me that he made himself and Sam some lunch and they began talking about Becca, and shared some memories. And then Sam ended up kissing him and he didn't pull back, and then it ended with them in our bed. They're begging me to understand that it was just grief that caused them to become intimate and that they both made a mistake. I don't know what to do. I love this man. And I love Sam. I'm heartbroken that they did this to me and put me in this position. I feel so stuck. Relevant comments. Comment 1. That would be hard for me. I understand grieving, but how is this excusing cheating? What happens next time he is sad? Edit. I misspoke when I said sad. Obviously this is something beyond devastating. I still don't think it can be used as an excuse. OP. I don't want to excuse his cheating. I think I want to divorce him, but I'm anxious about doing it right after we lost Becca. Comment 2. Probably together. Do you both own the home? If it's in your name, change the locks. Stay strong and don't listen to his excuses. I am so sorry this happened to you during such a difficult time. OP. Exactly what I was thinking if I'm being honest. And yes, we both own it. When I told him to leave, he kept saying sorry and then said that he would leave and respect me wanting him gone for a while. Comment 3. Are you seeing a therapist perhaps? You're dealing with a lot right now, it might be useful. OP. Yes, I am in therapy. I've been with my therapist for other things for the last 3 years. She's been very helpful. I saw her yesterday and was able to figure some things out. Update 1. I decided that I'm filing for a divorce. I can't ever trust Derek again. It sucks because we had an amazing relationship, I thought. He's always been great, so this was a complete shock to me. Last night, Derek came over to talk. He confessed a lot. Turns out it wasn't their first time having sex like most people thought. They've been having sex since 3 months before Becca died. I am completely shocked and heartbroken. Sam also reached out last night and thanked me for everything I've done for her, and told me she was sorry. I didn't respond, I blocked her. I did so much for Sam and considered her a friend, so this hurts a lot, more than I can handle. This is all too much. As hard as this is gonna be, I need to leave Derek and cut them both out of my life. I am ready to do so. I am done. Also, some people are saying I deserve this because I should have known better than to let Sam into our home, around Derek. But, you need to understand that I'm a giving person. I trust people more than I should. I truly thought Sam was an amazing person. I know it's unusual to become friends with your husband's ex-wife, but it's just how it went for us and I shouldn't be blamed for what happened. Thank you to everyone who commented nice things and for the kind messages. You've all been helpful during this insanely difficult time. I appreciate it. Relevant comments. Comment, out of curiosity, what are his excuses for cheating? Those two are going to be in a world of hurt once the guilt settles in. They're going to be asking themselves why it had to be Becca and will eventually come to the conclusion that it's their punishment for what they've done to you. I can pretty much guarantee you that. OP, he told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. It seems so icky to me. How can he vent about our struggles like that and then go and have sex with Sam? It's just awful of him. I don't understand it. Editor's note, remove the first half of the updates as it was a rehash of update #1, updates 2. I'm getting lots of questions about some things, so I figured I'd answer a few of them. Have I told anyone about what happened besides my mom? Yes, I told a few friends and some family members. Most of them are supportive of my decision and aren't speaking to Derek. Where is Derek staying? Currently, he's staying at a hotel. Our friends refuse to let him stay with them. He's lost a lot of people due to his awful decisions. Has he tried fighting me on getting a divorce? Yes, he begged me not to file for divorce, but when I told him I needed him to just let me go and that I was too exhausted to fight him on this, he let it be and agreed to getting a divorce. Why isn't Derek staying with Sam? He told me he didn't want to continue to hurt me, so he told Sam he was done with her for good. And that they have no reason to speak to each other anymore. I have no idea if that'll last and if they'll just end up together, but I truly don't care what they do anymore. I just want peace. What was Derek's excuse for cheating? He told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. Disgusting of them both, I know. Feel free to ask anything else, and I'll try to answer. Thank you everyone for your support and advice. Relevant comments. OP on what happened to Becca. OP, it was very sudden. She died in a car accident when she was with one of her friends and her friend's parents. OP on her husband's parents being supportive or not, and if they know about his cheating. OP, I get along with Derek's mom very well, but he's also a mama's boy, so it's kinda complicated. She will always be there for him. He'd stay with her if she didn't live across the country. She knows what he did and told me she had a talk with him but said that he's still her son and she'd help him with anything if he needed it. I'm thinking I need to cut her out of my life too, which makes me really sad because we were close and talked on the phone almost daily. OP on if she has children with her husband. OP, we've had 6 miscarriages total. All of them were in the first trimester. More updates. I just found out that he is staying with Sam and not at the hotel. He told me it's too expensive to stay at a hotel and Sam is the only one that'll help him right now. I had a feeling this would happen. Just knowing that they are still probably sleeping together hurts my heart. I talked to a lawyer this morning and we are proceeding with the divorce and Derek agreed to it. It's actually happening. And I feel some relief that he's not fighting me on this. My mom leaves on Sunday. I'm scared to be alone. But I go back to work on Monday, so I'm hoping it'll be a good distraction. I'll keep updating if anything else happens. Thank you everyone, I am so grateful for you all. Relevant comments. Comment 1, OP, how did you find out he was staying at his ex-wife's place? Anything he says should be taken with a grain of salt. He's not true to his words in going on contact with Sam. OP, he texted me this morning after we talked to lawyers, and said he just wants to be honest with me. I told him to stop giving me updates on what he's doing in his life and that it's not something I need to know. It seems like he wanted to tell me to hurt me. OP on how she is doing. OP, thank you, I'm doing a little better today. My mom and I went on some nature walks and went out into the garden this afternoon, that helped. Becca loved gardening with me so it made me feel closer to her. I decided to go through some of Becca's stuff today. I just found her diary in a box in the back of her closet. Would it be wrong to read some of it? I feel like it would help me feel closer to her, but part of me feels like it's wrong too. I haven't told Derek that I found it either, and I'm unsure if I should tell him. What would you do? Relevant comments. OP on if she was closer with Becca prior to her sudden passing. OP, Becca and I were very close. It felt like she told me anything and everything, but I honestly think all parents feel that way about their kids, so I'm kinda nervous to read it. Just a little update. I figured it's been a few days, so I should give a little update. My mom is leaving in a couple hours, so I'll be alone. I'm kinda nervous about it. She helped me stay distracted and kept me going. IDK how I'm gonna handle her being gone. I go back to work tomorrow, the first day back since Becca passed away. I'm looking forward to it though because it'll keep me distracted. Also, I did read some of Becca's diary. It made me love her even more, she was such a sweetheart. I went back a few months and saw that she noticed some weird behavior between Derek and Sam, didn't mention that she knew of the affair, but she just wrote that she thought it was kinda strange that they all 3 would hang out more than usual, without me. I might read more, but so far I haven't found anything that's disturbing, just her being a teenager and talking about crushes, fights with friends, happy family memories, etc. Tomorrow I'm also talking to my lawyer, so I might have more updates on that. Thanks for the continuous love and support everyone. Last update for a while, started randomly getting a lot more messages, comments, so I figured I'd do another little last update. My first week back at work went great. I wasn't expecting it to go so well, but thankfully it did. My coworkers were so helpful and patient with me. On Friday night I decided I didn't want to stay home all weekend alone, so I decided to drive up to my mom's. It helps that I have a 3-day weekend so I can spend more time with her. I'm heading back home tomorrow. Also, for those of you that have messaged me hateful things for reading Becca's diary, I just have to say, you aren't in my shoes right now. Telling me I'm a bad mom because I'm reading her diary is just ridiculous. I learned so much more about her, about how caring and sweet she is, and it made me love her even more. It's how I'm able to feel so close to her right now, so please don't tell me I'm a bad parent for just trying to get by one of the hardest times of my life. You have no idea what it's like. I don't have much of an update, so this will be it. I'll come back and update once the divorce happens though. Thank you to those of you that have been nothing but kind and helpful. You helped me feel less alone. I'll forever be grateful. Sam saw my Reddit post and is threatening to sue me. Sam made a fake FB profile to message me and tell me she wants to sue me for telling strangers about what happened. Derek supports her apparently. I don't need this. Am I not allowed to vent about my life to people online? I just want life to get better. I'm so tired. Fuck you, Sam. Fuck you, Derek. Edit. Sam is in the comments and messaged me on here too. Blocked her. Additional information from OP on the message from Sam. OP, no, I just ignored her. It might be an empty threat just to make my life harder, but I'm unsure. Her message said, so I was scrolling through TikTok and ended up on an account where they read Reddit posts, and guess whose post they read? Yours. First you tell friends and family and then you go to a bunch of strangers and tell them our life story. I can't believe you, It isn't just your business to tell. Becca would be so disappointed in you. Be prepared, cause I think I'm gonna be suing you for this. This was no one else's business. You did this to yourself, remember that. I'm actually baffled. She thinks Becca would be disappointed in me. My love for my husband has been gradually dying since he forced me to choose between an open marriage and divorce. My husband, Leo, 34, and I, 30, have been together for 7 years, married for 4 of them. We don't have any kids and we don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't understand why he didn't just want me. I couldn't even comprehend the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same song and dance a lot of men give their spouses, swore up and down that he loved me. I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than what I could give. It was just to spice up our life, it was just sex, etc. I did ask if there was someone else. He said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him. But at the time, I was angry and hurt and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum. Open marriage or divorce? I chose an open marriage. I just couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at the time. We have rules. We can't bring any partners home. We have to get tested for STD every 3 months. 1 weekend out of the month must be left free for us time. Any money we spend on with our partners must come from our personal accounts. I didn't partake in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo obviously did right away. He seemed to be gone or out late almost all the time, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me while I felt like I was dying inside. It killed me to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely and unattractive and not good enough. I told my sister, Katie, 26F, and a few close friends everything. Katie told me to just play his game and be part of the open marriage too. If he can sleep around, so could I. I honestly didn't have much confidence in myself at the time. I'm a bit overweight and I've never considered myself conventionally pretty. I was afraid this would just humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie, 30F, set up my online dating profiles for me. I got so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised, but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out to drinks and dinner. We did have sex eventually, but it was all just casual and we didn't see each other after a couple months of casual dating. That first guy really made me feel more confident in myself. So I kept going on dates with men. A lot of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of the men have given me the best sex I've ever had in my life. Almost like the kind of sex you read in romance novels. It's been amazing. I am currently seeing 2 different men, alongside Leo. One, Mark, 38M, is more of a steady boyfriend I've been with for about 6 months, and the one, Steven, 25M, is very casual. Mostly just hanging out and sex. They know about my open marriage, other relationships, and are fine with it. My husband has not been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was. He was always out and about and didn't seem to care even when I started dating too. But now he just complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about how he's usually the one spending money. A lot of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before sex. He often wants to be with younger women, but they want younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He tried to initiate sex a lot more too. He wants to go on dates and go on vacations and all that stuff more and more, and he gets upset when I tell him I can't because I've already scheduled to do stuff with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Steven, but I honestly feel closer to Mark nowadays than I do Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I love spending time with him more than my own husband. Steven is funny and sweet and really good at sex. Katie and Jessie have been wanting me to divorce for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. But I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all pissy about it now just because he's not benefiting from it is also a turnoff for me too. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can talk about it then. Relevant comments. Comment 1, divorce. You're happier without him. He would only want to close the marriage because he can't get laid, not that he only loves you. OP. We've just been together for so long that the idea of him not being there feels weird. Which sounds stupid since I have 2 other partners, so it's not like I'll be lonely. But Leo was a part of my life for so long that for him to not be there just doesn't feel right. But you're probably right. OP on her husband dismissing her feelings regarding the open marriage. OP, I really do think Leo does love me, in his own way. Even when he was more active in the open marriage, he still made time for me and still did a lot with him. For me. But you're probably right on the divorce. Comment 2. Part of the issue is the main relationship is supposed to be the important one, so the whole 1 weekend a month for us time wasn't enough. OP, I actually did argue that in the beginning, but he insisted that he needed to keep his weekends free. He did spend a lot of time at home during the weekdays, so in his mind, that made up for it. Comment 3. What if he finds evidence of your open marriage and frames you as a cheater and then brings you to the cleaners? At this point, I wouldn't trust Leo. What you're experiencing is normalcy. You're used to his presence in your life. But how long are you going to live like this? OP. Jesse had the same train of thought of you and actually took screenshots of his dating profiles during the beginning of the open marriage. She also told me to save screenshots of any texts we had about the open marriage. I don't think Leo would do that, but I also didn't think he'd ever ask for an open marriage, so what do I know? Update 1. Hi everyone. I got so many comments and messages on my last post, which got deleted for some reason, that I was a bit overwhelmed. Especially when a lot of you kept saying the same thing, divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me still loves my husband. I know in my last post that I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things that I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard he snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when he watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of shitty things, but he really isn't the big asshole people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I have been for a while. I care about him, a part of me does still love him, but you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Steven and asked if there was a problem. He said there was. But he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, not like I used to. He broke down crying, which made me cry. I guess he had known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Steven, and I said no. I like being with them and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Steven made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just sex on the side for him. He only did hookups and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved me. But he thought I was falling in love with my partners and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I'm wondering if maybe the other woman ended it so now he was back to what he was comfortable with, his wife. He went and had his fun and when that died out, he was not left with a wife waiting for him at home. OP, he and his coworker were only sleeping together for maybe a month. She fulfilled his kinks that I never liked indulging in. That's why he was with most of his partners, because I wasn't interested in his kinks. Comment 2, he stepped out of this marriage first and tried to have his cake and eat it too. The thing with open marriages is that you can never count on how emotions will change. Sex is a very intimate action and many people will develop emotional connections. Those connections come at a price. He placed a bet and he lost. At least he's man enough to acknowledge it and own up to it. There is no easy answer. OP, I wish you healing OP. Thank you. Leo just thought the open marriage would be a way for him to get all of his kinks he couldn't do with me, because I wasn't into it. He knew how unconfident I was, which wasn't because of him. A lot of people seem to think that he eroded my self-esteem, but he didn't. We can thank my mother for that, but that's a whole other can of worms. So he never expected me to partake in the open marriage either. Comment 3. So he never expected me to partake in the open marriage either. So basically, while he asked for a mutually open marriage, he expected it to be only his side open and then got hurt that reality didn't meet his expectations. OP, Leo admitted that he did only expect his side to be open. He was never going to stop me from opening my side, but like I said, he didn't think I would. TBH, I don't think I would have either if it wasn't for Jesse and Katie pushing me and making profiles for me. I found out that my mother and my fiancé had been having sex for the past few years, leading up to the birth of my younger brother. My fiancé, 25, and myself, 24, have been together since we were 17-18 years old. Honestly, he was always kind, handsome, funny, and everyone used to say I was so lucky to have the whole package. I felt so lucky too. He always treated me with love and respect, so this makes everything just so shocking for me. I have always had a good relationship with my mom. It has always been her and I against the world. My dad died in an accident when I was little. We always joke that we are the real-life Rory and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. My mom dated guys on and off and they were usually cool but nothing really past the early stages. Around 4 years ago my mom told me she was pregnant, which was a huge surprise. My mom was around 42 years old and although she was sort of dating someone recently, didn't meet the guy but knew she went on dates, it still was a big shock. She never thought she could be pregnant at her age. She had me when she was super young, an oopsie, and I can tell she was stressed and worried. I decided to support her, since she has always supported me and tried to reassure her. She then had my brother who is now 3 years old. I have a close relationship with my brother. I have helped take care of him since he was born and I just love the little guy. My fiancé was also always helpful with my brother. We would take him out for ice cream, playground, pool time during summer, etc. But nothing was weird. He was just my then BF spending time with my brother and I. Now to how I found out. My fiancé and I have been living together since we finished college. He was not at home because he was hanging out with friends, but I stayed home because I didn't feel like going out and just wanted to relax on the sofa. At some point during binge watching a series on Netflix, my laptop died, and I was too lazy to get my charger, so I used my fiancé's iPad instead. I know the password but had never used it before. The iPad logged in, and I received a bunch of message notifications. I guess he hasn't used it in a while either. Anyway, this got my attention, and I went to check it out, and of course, I found everything. My mom's number wasn't saved under her name, but I recognized it and verified it with my phone. She was telling him she felt guilty and that I should know. He said he also felt guilty but couldn't lose me and that they messed it up. She said it was unfair for my brother to never know his dad and asked if he could live having his son around, not behaving like a dad but as a brother-in-law. I broke down. What the actual F? There weren't a lot of older messages, just some photos stored of my brother as a newborn, my mom pregnant, and more photos of my brother growing up in an album. I couldn't anymore. I cried for what seemed like ages and I waited for my BF to come back home. I wish I was one of those women that can pretend and get things together before confronting the cheater, but I can't. He came back later that night, around 23:30, and I just gave him the iPad with the conversation opened and saw his face completely go pale. I asked for an explanation. When? How? Why? And he didn't want to at first, but knew he had to. Apparently a few years back while I was traveling with some friends, girls trip, my fiancé and mom had dinner together. This isn't strange since he has been part of the family for so long. Sometimes mom and fiancé would eat together at our place even if I was busy with sports or out. I did the same with his parents. Somehow, unclear how since he couldn't explain it well, one thing led to another and they ended up sleeping together. They felt guilty but apparently not guilty enough. BC they slept together 2-3 more times, using the excuse of meeting up to discuss how to tell me. Apparently when my mom got pregnant they stopped sleeping together and decided to not tell me, since my fiancé loved me and couldn't lose me, and my mom didn't want to lose her daughter. So here we are now, with two of the most disgusting humans. I obviously broke the engagement, Told my mom to never talk to me again and move in with a friend. I feel bad for my brother since I really love him, but I can't be around him now, I just can't. I feel like it would remind me of all those times we talked about having kids. I would be his baby mama, only baby mama. We talked about this future since we were 17 years old, so I want to puke every time I think how I was actually taking care of his child with someone else, while still having those dreams. I want to puke. Editor's note. Comments were mostly supportive, with a few telling their own stories of cutting parents off and a couple with tales of spouses sleeping with parents. How is this even a thing? People are crazy. Update 1, to the update. As I was afraid, I was indeed confronted near my office this week. I knew this was coming but thought maybe I had more time. My ex was the person to come find me. Yesterday, Wednesday, after finishing work and walking to where my car was parked, my ex was sort of lingering, waiting around. I thought about running. Not gonna lie, but I guess in the moment I felt strong enough to get over it, instead of having that hanging above my head waiting to be approached again. He asked if we could talk and I said yes, but I didn't feel like having that conversation over coffee like we were old friends. It felt ridiculous, so I told him to just talk right there. We were in the streets but somehow it wasn't crowded, but also not completely lonely. Felt right. He basically said sorry 100 times and that I deserved better. I agreed. He said he did love me and that he still does, but he would understand why I wouldn't want anything to do with him. He said that if I did in fact consider giving him a chance, that he would go to therapy, alone or together or both, and that he would work hard to win my trust back. I told him it wasn't possible. There was too much damage. This sounds calm when I type it, but in the moment things came out more with louder tone and harsher words. Anyways, he did say that he is in the, or will be, it was a bit of a blur, process of getting custody, partly, from my brother, and that he in fact does want to be a dad to him. He said he does not want to be together with my mom, that it was just a stupid mistake. Sure, BC 4-5 times is just a random thing. He couldn't explain why he did it in the first place. I think he doesn't even know himself. I asked if he cheated with someone else before. He said no, not sure if to believe it, but he sounded honest. I asked why he didn't come clean, and he said that after he did the deed he always felt panicked and it hit him that he could lose me and he just didn't want to. I told him it was meant to be found out, that what was his plan? To have my brother around and ignore their relationship forever? He said he didn't think far enough and that he was basically going with the idea one day at the time. I asked him if he felt that my mom seduced him. He said it was mutual, which made me want to puke again. I asked if he has had any contact with my mom since I found out. He said yes, but mostly about my brother, didn't elaborate more, and I didn't press for more info on that. He said he told his parents the day before, or the day before that, not sure, Tuesday, about everything. The parents were not happy, but they are glad to start building a relationship with my brother, their grandkid. Honestly, all of this felt like a punch in my stomach. I don't know why. The parents wanted to contact me, but he told them to wait till he approached me first, hence why he was here. I said if he started or thought about the custody before I found out, and he said no, but when I found out was like the push he needed. Great. Seems I helped him get his shit together. And this past week he was arranging all of that mess. That's why he hasn't tried to see me before. He sounded and looked defeated, but the whole thing made me, besides sad, angry. I was mainly depressed before, but now I'm furious. I feel like he is still in an okay place and he isn't paying for his actions, beyond me leaving him. He will have my brother, his parents and others and move on with his life. While I lost everything. I hate him. We parted ways not on a happy note, and I told him to never get near me again. I was done. He asked me to see my brother still, that I was important to him, and tried to guilt trip me, and it worked, but I still think I can't. I don't know much about my mom and really hope she doesn't come find me anytime soon because I'm fuming right now and won't be able to handle it. I will be contacting my family and friends and finally doing the blasting today. I think it is about time, and after my talk with him, I got the extra push I needed. Editor's note. Top comment suggested moving to Australia. Can't fault that line of thinking. Update 2. A lot has happened. I did the blasting, and this is how it went down. I first posted on my family's FB group we share. This is from my mom's family side. I used inspiration of what you all suggested in my last post and said something around the lines of, I want to communicate to you all that my wedding with X has been permanently cancelled, since I found out that my mom, name, and my ex, name, had in the last few years a sexual relationship which resulted in the birth of my little brother, name. I had no clue of any of this, and I found out about it last week. I won't have a relationship with, name, mom, and ex, name, for obvious reasons. I would appreciate your understanding, and I felt it was only fair to let you know of the situation, since I value transparency and honesty above all. I also included a screenshot of my mother's message, what I said to her once I found out, and a message she managed to write back before I blocked her. Didn't open the message till before the blasting. I didn't want to read her and be persuaded. It exploded. I had family reaching out via text and calling the whole day after the blasting. I would say most were very supportive, and I could tell they were just shocked. There were a few neutral and some suspicious that it wasn't the whole story and maybe I misunderstood. My grandparents were in the maybe you misunderstood category, which wasn't surprising since my mom is super close to my grandparents, and like I said before, my mom was always a good mom. So no red flags. I will be moving with a cousin that is more like a sister to me. I haven't reached out to her previously because I knew once she knew everyone would. That's why I went to my friend's place. My cousin is devastated on my behalf and offered to live with her and her 2 kids until I can get my feet on the ground. I accepted and will be moving next week. I'm a bit afraid this will give my mom an easier access to me, but I can't stay at my friend's place forever. I then proceeded quickly to post a similar message for we share most of our friends since high school and local university friends on Instagram. I created a close friends story and tagged most of them too. This went sort of viral in our friend group. Actually, one of my friends sent me my Reddit post and asked if this was me. I confirmed. They were also shocked and speechless. They never thought my ex would even remotely do anything like this. They said he was crazy about you. Oh well, apparently he went overboard on the crazy part. The group of friends is divided ATM, some are completely on my side, and some are thinking it isn't the whole truth. I told everyone that reached out that if they don't believe me to ask their friend if he is asking for custody of my little brother. That kinda shut them up for now. My ex deleted his social media. Also, my ex's parents called me like I guessed they would. They were kind to me and were very sorry about everything. I got the feeling they are also overwhelmed and very disappointed. However, it was clear they will be supporting their son. They are very upset at my mother, and don't want anything to do with her, but not sure how that will work with my little brother and everything else. They tried to give me info about the custody and what is my ex up to now, but I shut that down quickly and told them I don't want any info, I want to move on. I also asked them to not reach out in the near future, that I needed distance, especially if they will be supporting my ex. He is living with his parents ATM. Also, my ex and my mother after the blast were going nuts trying to reach out to me. They tried calling my friend, who she blocked them, and reaching out from different numbers. I had to put my phone on silent and ignore everyone. However, my mother sent me a long text, from another number, and that was a weird text. She said that I was being cruel and that she didn't think she raised me that way. She said she thought we had a better relationship than me blasting out laundry like that without talking to her first. That I didn't have the whole picture. She did mention something that confused me. She said in her long-ass text, that the reason she slept with my ex, is because he reminded him of my dad. That it was grief. That she didn't mean to use him to heal her pain, but she wasn't strong enough. I don't even know what that means. Like, did she think that my ex looks physically like my dad? Or personality? Or what? I have seen photos of my dad, and well, yeah, my ex isn't super different but also not super alike. I mean, they share brown dirty blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin. But that's not so uncommon. I don't see what else. I don't know. That threw me for a loop and honestly makes me want to confront my mom just to know what the hell. From all the things she could say, I was not expecting that. I'm holding on better, I don't cry every hour or want to murder them. But I'm still sad and upset, and it just feels like it isn't my life, that it is a big joke or a bad dream and I will wake up to my normal life. I also need to really start planning my future and start applying for jobs in other cities, or maybe check the possibilities abroad more seriously. I might ask for 2-3 days off work to really get my thoughts together and do some research. I'm terrified tbh. I feel frozen, but I know I need to start moving. Editor's note, this one has some funny comments. Commenter 1, that mom is hilarious. I thought I raised you better. I never in a million years thought you'd fuck my boyfriend, but here we are. Commenter 2, my petty ass would be sending her that. Commenter 3, right. The irony of her blaming you for airing laundry when she did that. Commenter 4, the laundry wouldn't be dirty if you hadn't fucked my boyfriend on it. Meth-addicted sister stole my identity and opened 4 credit cards in my name. What are my options for getting my credit score back up? Like the title says, my sister, who is addicted to meth, opened several credit cards in my name and maxed them all out quickly. They were mainly used at grocery stores and Target Walmart. I discovered this when I was served a court summons last week at my apartment. Upon checking my credit report, because I suspected a mistake, I found several unrecognized accounts and a collection account. The total debt was just over $15,000, all accrued around August to September of last year. The accounts were registered at my sister's address, which is an attached apartment at my parents' house. I immediately informed my parents about the situation, and they promised to talk to my sister. A few days later, they mentioned they were considering rehab for her as she had confessed to her meth addiction. A friend in law school advised me that involving the police was the only way to save my credit unless I wanted it ruined for years. When I relayed this to my mom, she asked me to delay involving the police and suggested a family discussion instead. Yesterday, I visited my parents' house and talked with them and my sister. She apologized for opening the accounts and admitted her addiction. She revealed she obtained my social security number from an old tax form and used the credit cards to buy gift cards and household items to trade for meth. She mentioned she was using less and considering rehab. When I shared my friend's advice, my mom urged me not to involve the police. She proposed that I cover the debt over time and that my sister could repay me when she was able, implying an uncertain future about the repayment. Knowing how drug addictions typically go, I am skeptical about the when turning into a never. While I want my sister to overcome her addiction, my credit score, now in the high 400s, is a barrier to buying a house when my lease expires next year. I explained the dire impact of the situation on my financial goals to my parents. They understood, but their solution to pay off the debt didn't address the various negative marks on my credit, like the 90-day late notices, closed accounts, collection actions, and the court summons. They asked me to consider their offer to not involve the police, emphasizing her need for rehab over jail. This morning, my dad reiterated their understanding of my frustration but pleaded for a second chance for my sister. They even proposed buying a house for me, which I would pay back, contingent on not reporting my sister's actions. I am torn. While I agree she needs more help than punishment, her actions involved multiple crimes using my identity. The potential offer from my parents for a 0% interest rate home loan is tied to accepting the financial loss myself. What should I do? I wish to recover my credit score, but I must also consider the human element involved. Update. A few days after my original post, I decided to file a police report, notifying my parents beforehand. Initially, not much happened, but filing the report helped clear my credit report, boosting my credit score by about 270 points, clearing all negative marks. I briefly spoke with an investigator, who was informed that I hadn't lost any money and my credit was restored. He advised continued vigilance on my credit. Shortly after, my mother angrily called me, upset that my sister was going to jail, accusing me of being heartless for reporting her while she was trying to get help. Despite talking about rehab, my sister never took actual steps towards it. She confessed everything to the investigator and was arrested at my parents' home, spending just one night in jail before being released with a court mandate for supervision, restitution, and mandatory rehab, probably the best outcome under the circumstances. My parents are likely to cover the restitution, but my mom lashed out at me, leading to my exclusion from our family's July 4th celebration, claiming it would be hard for my sister to see me. As I plan to buy a house this fall, I am now ensuring that no new issues appear on my credit report. Given the circumstances, I'm considering moving far from my family. My mom tried to force a reconciliation between my sister and me, but it backfired. Now, I don't know if I want her in my life anymore. I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16. We were together until I graduated high school when he proposed and I rejected it. There was a lot of drama, with my family asking me to reconsider because we could have a long engagement, or make a promise to reconcile. My relationship with my brother, 36, suffered for a while, but the one with my sister, 32, never recovered. She was sure my ex was the best fit for me and became unbearable when she started dating my ex's brother. My ex was invited everywhere by my siblings, even to some family holidays, but I didn't say anything since he was their friend too. That is until my sister started to push for us to get back together. My sister did everything from trying to get us on blind dates to making us share a room during holidays. No matter the occasion, my ex was invited to it. After a while I had enough and asked my parents to intervene. They were clear with my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to things or allowing him to tag along so much. It was slightly better, but while my brother backed off, my sister didn't. It all came to a crash when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from another university but the same country and we just clicked. It was magical for me and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was very happy for me, except my sister. She kept insisting I was in the honeymoon phase and will grow out of it. I clearly didn't, and after many, can't express enough how many, fights and attempts to reunite me with my ex. I simply let her know if she pulled anything again I will stop talking to her. What does she do after that warning? Makes me her MOH and requests I spend all my time with the bridal party aka my ex and sets one of her friends as my husband's date. We didn't realize until we were at the reception and the poor girl tried to make a pass at my husband. My sister said that since we are not married it was okay to explore things with other people. I left the party and the next day spoke with my parents and brother, explained that while I won't make them choose I will not talk to my sister ever again and if they try to fix stuff between us I will simply cut contact with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision and apart from 2 attempts from my mom I haven't spoken, written, or anything with my sister in the past 6 years. My sister has tried everything to reconcile with me. From gifts to tantrums but I simply don't talk to her at all. If we are at a family event or dinner I simply act like she doesn't exist. At first she made snarky comments or tried to create drama but since nobody backed her up she gave up. She did have a meltdown when she was informed she was invited to my wedding but would not be part of any preparation. My brother says he feels guilty for going along with it for so long and his relationship with my ex has suffered since my ex. They still talk but they are not as close anymore. The issue. My mom's birthday was a couple of weeks ago and I finally announced we are expecting our first child. This is not the first grandchild but is the first granddaughter. Everybody was very happy except my sister. My mom noticed that and asked me for tea the other day. My sixth sense told me not to go but I wanted to be positive. The first thing I noticed when I arrived was my sister's car. Then as I entered the door there was my sister, her husband, my ex and my ex-male. They wanted to have an intervention since my childish tactic has gone for so long. My ex said that he was just trying to be romantic but he understands I couldn't appreciate it. His mom said I was just hurting my sister for wanting the best for me and she apologized already so I need to forgive her. I was just sending texts to my family, dad, brother, husband, and looking at my mom in disbelief. My Bill had the balls to tell me I was a hurtful person and I need to learn how to act like an adult since I'm having a baby now. Then my mom began reading a letter about how hurt she was that her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong but she was well intended, etc. Then my sister read her letter and began crying and telling me basically another version of what the rest did. I said nothing to anybody, just sat there until my brother arrived. He was angry beyond anything I've ever seen before. He grabbed my stuff and told them all he was really disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then I was just sobbing and he kept saying sorry. I am unsure what happened there but I sent everybody, except mom, an email with my lawyer's number info attached and stated I don't wish to be contacted by any of them ever again and if they do I will go to the police. Nobody has contacted me but I know from my dad my mom and sister are hysterical. They told him they hope to repair things and for my sister to be able to be in my baby's life, maybe possibly being a godmother. My dad is staying with my brother at the moment. They support me but some others in the family don't. I've even had mutual friends call me since they are worried about my sister's well-being and asking me what happened since she is now going by the narrative that my husband is keeping me away from my family. I hate having my business in public but I did go the public route and posted a long FB post about everything that happened. Sister, Bil and X are being dragged which even if it wasn't 100% intended I feel is deserved. Now, my mom has been inconsolable, which does make me feel bad but not as bad as she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to have a talk with her a couple of days ago and laid the ground rules for any possible future interaction, including therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister, and separate holidays. Most important, if she ever pulls anything like this again she will for sure be cut off. She feels this is too much but is willing to do it. She thought it meant immediate access to baby news and it is all solved but I told her it is a process and she needs to prove she has improved. My dad and brother refuse to talk to my sister and they keep apologizing for not stopping it earlier. We've forgiven them since they were able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide but my MIL is unsure cutting my mom's access to her granddaughter is the way to go but says it is ultimately my decision. I am torn about what to do with my mom. Relevant comments. Commenter. What is their logic? Like now that you're pregnant, you should stop playing make-believe with your husband and realize your happiness ever after is with your ex. What about your baby? Your ex and his family are gonna accept her. OP, my sister claims she is not trying to get us together anymore but that I can't take away her chance to be an aunt. She says I'm a bad sister for being close with my SILs, who are amazing people. I obviously don't believe her. My issue is what to do with my mom. Commenter, she couldn't be your best friend without you dating your ex? OP, I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea what her thought process is. My husband has the theory she is just mentally unwell. The ex. The most ridiculous and scary thing is he still has the mixtapes, CDs, I made him when we were dating. Those things are about 20 years old and he still holds on to them. Commenter, I'm kind of surprised your stalker ex, and yes I will call him that, is still in your brother's life. That said, hold firm with your mother. No timelines. She has to show she can stick to your rules. Sister needs to live with the consequences of her actions. OP. To be fair to my brother, he did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew or to not be rude. Commenter, you need to realize that your mom is supporting all of this. A big reason Big Sis is continuing this is because she knows your mom also thinks it's right. OP. This makes me very sad since my mom was always so nice to my husband and now I am reevaluating their whole relationship. OP's background and culture, not Indian nor from a religious family. My parents were good, nice parents. They thought it was a romantic thing at the beginning but later realized it wasn't. They encouraged me to go to college and everything. Now I know my dad actually supported me and my mom might have just played along and have the same beliefs as my sister. My sister had this idea we would be best friends married to brothers. Update 1. The edit I wanted to post but couldn't. I want to thank you for the amount of support and advice so far. I want to give a little more info that is in my comments since there are too many for me to answer them all individually. My ex and I broke up when I was 18, he is 37 now. The reason for our breakup was that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister's insistence comes from the fixation of wanting the both of us to marry brothers and being best friends. My mom has always been so nice to my husband but I am beginning to think it was all a facade, which makes me very sad. My ex has been with people since the breakup. He also has 2 kids with an ex but he's never been married. My sister says that is a very romantic thing to do since he has only ever wanted to marry me. I should also mention his obsessive behavior is not only with me. I know from the grapevine he was very similar with the mother of his children but now he is refocusing on me because my sister is encouraging it since she needs his help on getting back in my good graces so she can be a good aunt. My brother did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew, sister's son, or to not be rude. Both my parents seem to be supportive of me not wanting to be around my ex so much, but I guess only my dad was in agreement. On the day of the tea party my mom told him she was making me my favorite tea and sweets, but he couldn't stay since we would have quality time together. My dad left to go hang with my uncle since he thought it was a nice sentiment from my mom. He's very pissed off. My husband tried very hard with my sister when they met but now he just ignores her and believes she is mentally unwell. We don't know if she is or not, still there is no excuse for how she behaves. They invited the ex and his mom because they thought it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister, or at least their official version. Also, we are not Indian, not really religious, my husband and I are from the same race. There is also no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband, if there is it would be in favor of my husband. Lastly, my CLs. Both my brother's wife and husband's sisters, are enraged about the situation. My husband and his sisters will be talking with their mom about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering going NC with my mom permanently, in the meanwhile they will not allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I read, the more I think I might have to go NC with my mom for the sake of my kid. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were fake but says he is even more enraged she made me cry and doubt I was a good person. I realize there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mom, but I will definitely be going for a restraining order against my sister and the ex. The proper semi-update. The state of my family so far. I had a conversation with my mother but she insists she knew best. I am a bad person and she will be getting grandparents' rights or even custody. I don't know what she said, but I still panicked so we sent her a letter about it. My dad moved out definitely. He told her that he could not sign on to her terrorizing his kid. My brother and his wife also decided to go to NC. I know it seems very sudden but I think I understood the level of despair I had after the intervention. My husband told them afterward they had to think very well about what they appreciated and to be kind and receptive to everything but would not raise a kid on a toxic environment, Reason 3271637 Why I love my husband. My husband is very heartbroken about my mom and her fakeness. He says she will never get anything from him. That is as much as revenge goes here. My husband and sisters talked to my MIL about her comment and made her understand why it was very out of it, as many of you assume she is a very loving mom, from a loving family. My dad and brother keep apologizing for any role they played in this. My dad can't believe it went to this point. He says it is still surreal for him. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they are willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous fight my mom or sister put up. Update 2. I want to thank the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post it here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original was. Things are great and horrible at the same time, but I'm trying to remain positive about everything. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and the little cousin. They explained grandma would not be part of their lives anymore, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really hard, but the kids are smart. They were also told another aunt is no longer in their life, but they don't care because they dislike her. Not because of me alone, simply because she is not exactly great with them either. My mom lost it when she was informed and started claiming she had rights and she will get to see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly due to my brother's MIL coming to visit and us having the space. He is really sad, has called divorce lawyers already, moved bank stuff, etc. He has been getting countless emails, messages and calls from my mom, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer told him to not block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but I got a huge spike in my blood pressure a couple days after my last post here, because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mom knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knows my mom, and I haven't had the time to inform her she was not allowed to come in anymore. I was just coming from some errands and I saw the car. This time I didn't get in. I called all of my relatives and my SIL, husband's sister, was the one closer to me. She confronted them and told them either they leave or I call the police on them for trespassing. They left and I started feeling bad. We went to the doctor and they told me all the excitement was not good and I need to start relaxing or it would hurt the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle and my husband and took every single thing he could think of. My husband says my sister was there too and she kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mom and sister they almost killed the baby and he also doesn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but it did not happen. I am devastated and very sad for my nephew since he is losing so much of his family because his mother has some wacky ideas, but it is what it is. As per the custody and grandparent rights my mom wants to throw around so much, my lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she keeps harassing me it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter accusing her of harassing me. Both, mom and sister, have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all of this coming to light it is obvious they have been in agreement for a long time. I will focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy and going to therapy. Update 3. Hi, I've received some requests for an update and had a little time, so decided it could be a good fit. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart from your comments, messages and every advice, because I feel we owe you for being even more paranoid than we were being. A couple people asked me what method we used to know the gender of the baby. I announced it after 20 weeks. The reason for waiting so long is we have experienced a loss in the past, which we were preparing to announce when it happened, and we wanted to be sure and have a safe feeling about the announcement. Also, we were naive enough to think it would be special for my mom. And you were right. After posting I handed it to my husband and he read your messages, comments and advice for some days. We swiped the house and thankfully found nothing but felt extremely unsafe, so we went to a hotel with my dad. But then we realized there was a tracker on my fur baby's vest. He is a very small dog and gets cold a lot, so he has a funny vest. Never in a million years would I have thought of looking there, but we discovered the tracker when my dad walked him around the hotel area and my sister came and asked him about me and reconciliation. I was really upset, so we decided to move. Thankfully we can afford it. We are renting at the moment and also renting out our place, so it is not just empty. I used to love that house, but now I feel it is ruined and tainted somehow. Sadly, my parents' house feels the same, and not only for me. We all, brother, husband, dad, SIL, and even my husband's family, changed our numbers, got new electronics and notified employers, friends and police. We also started therapy and family therapy. My dad and brother feel extreme guilt over the situation even if I've truly forgiven them, but we are healing as a unit. My sister and mom insist they are not wrong and they don't need therapy. My dad made a new will in which my sister's son gets a trust fund and some inheritance, but my sister gets a token amount. He is truly done with her. I was feeling bad for her, but I decided to focus my energy on my baby. She is here and we are blessed. It is not the experience I thought of since my mom is not around me anymore, but so many friends and family members have truly surprised us. By the end we were so paranoid we started testing some people we were unsure of, telling them I was going into labor. It worked like a charm. We discovered who was still feeding info to my mom and sister and cut them out. The rest understood when we explained the reasoning. My ex, whom my friends now call Bates, went around saying the baby was his cause. We've been having a torrid affair due to my undying love for him. Nobody believes him anymore, but it made my husband contact Bates's employer and tell him about all the craziness. Long story short, he was put on a suspension pending internal reviewing. I am almost positive he will be fired since they have asked us for more and more info and they seem really apologetic. My mom has tried to find us, but all the people that know of our location have gone NC with her. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter stating that due to her instability all correspondence will be through lawyers now. It has been us and my dad because I felt so bad for him being alone. He has promised he will be fine and nothing is my fault, but I still feel awful. He has been the best babysitter, feeder, diaper changer in the universe. My nephews are loving as always, and my dad even got a visit with my sister's son. It came about because she kept making videos threatening to hurt herself if my husband didn't stop alienating her family. So my dad emailed her about seeing her son and told her he would call the police about her threats, so that seems to have stopped it. Lastly, someone brought up Bates's false hope. It can't be further from the truth. I spent years uncomfortable because I thought he would move on. Then after I spoke up and then met my husband, I spent such a long time fighting my sister about it. I had a very long engagement, which is why I married after my sister. I still love my mom and sister, but I choose a healthy life for me and my family over that love. I have discovered a lot of loyalty, love and compassion through this whole thing. As strange as it may seem, I feel lucky it all exploded. Hopefully it is not much of a ramble. Big hugs from me. Update 4. We officially moved into a new house, with my dad moving into the guest house. We had many discussions both in and outside therapy, and we decided that while it would be good for him to be with us, we all still need our space. We are still renting out the old place and will be deciding what to do later. My dad has the grandchildren all together about 3 times a week now. He still has to see my sister's kid separately since she refused to let him take the kid unless she knew where he lived, which to be fair is a normal thing, but considering she is crazy, we don't want her close. My mom complained to the lawyers about how unfair it is. My dad still gets to see all grandchildren, but there is nothing she can do about it. About a month ago my dad told me he had a confession and my stomach started hurting. Dear reader, he pays for my nephew's, sister's kids' schooling and babysitting, which is why she still allows him to see him. He felt so guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I assured him it was nothing wrong and to please don't feel bad. On Mother's Day, my dad got an email with a link to an Instagram account in which they made a sad video about my mom and how most of her family has abandoned her and how much of a saint my sister is for being there for her. It was really pathetic and enraged me, but I just sent it to the lawyer. Dad officially filed for divorce in May and the process is still ongoing. My mom insists he is wrong, but my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I think that is final. My brother and husband took my dad out for Father's Day and had a blast. My sister posted many things that day, but they managed to block my dad from even learning about it because we wanted him to enjoy it. They also did a camping trip with the kids, aka went to a hotel, got a suite and put a tent in the middle area for the kids and a little tippy for the baby. Honestly, having a baby is one of the best things that have happened to me, and seeing my husband being the amazing father I knew he would be makes me so happy. It is tiring, but we have so much support. I feel grateful beyond anything because I have my rocks on my side. My SILs and I now get to have a little calendar on sharing things. All the kids get to do things that are age appropriate and if they want to. We want to let them all know they do not need to hang out with people they dislike and their voices matter. Right now they are all obsessed with baby and say they are her protectors. And we get little get-togethers, brunch, etc. Honestly, having family time is now a pleasure and not a headache without my sister there. I know it is wrong to say, but she just sucks the positivity out of the room. My MIL also loves having time with the baby and stays in the guest room about once a week. She asked politely and said she didn't want to take the baby for sleepovers or anything. I feel respected and heard by her, and yes, have broken down sometimes because I miss my mom a lot. I miss the mom I had or thought I had, not the one that told me I would be a terrible mother or was a hateful woman. My therapist says it's a marathon and to focus on the good. Speaking about good, Bates was terminated. Not only that, but his reputation in his industry was not only damaged but nuclear level damaged. So was his brother's, but because Bill is not in an industry that cares as much about reputation, he still has his job as far as I know. Bates sent me a 12-page, double-sided, seemingly single-space letter about how hurt he is. I am denying him what's his, and my husband is so threatened by him that he had to go and destroy him professionally because he would not be able to destroy anything else. I said it seemed because I didn't read it, my lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard from the grapevine. No, I don't ask people, they just tell me since they know he is stalking me, that the mother of his children moved and he didn't even care and said it was for the best. This man doesn't even care about his kids and wants to play with baby and me. Sadly, he won't be homeless or anything because mommy already let him move back in with her, so I doubt he will learn anything from this. Not the flashiest of updates, but just what is. Oh, and my husband burnt or donated every single item given to him by my mom or my parents with my dad's blessing. He says life is too short to give her space in his life even with memories. Relevant comments. Commenter, I am really glad you are coming through all that with the good bits of your family very intact. I don't really get the firing part. I get Bates is a bad dude, but has he ever done anything that has relevance or a connection to his work? OP. Without giving up his industry, it is a very close-knit one, and when you get a bad reputation it sunks you. He was thought of as a nice but distant nice feminist single dad before this. He even told some co-workers I was with him for longer than we were. Commenter. I am reading your full post from the best of Reddit at 1:30 a.m. from my home in India, and I have respect and sorry for what you've faced, and I hope your child grows to be healthy and nice as you both. Also, I hope this whole fiasco is over soon and you can be back with your mother after her ex-fantasy is over. Respect for you. Keep fighting, OP. That is a lovely sentiment, but I will never talk to my mom again. I miss her a lot. I cry a lot. She is not the person I thought she was, and the baby deserves the best family we can get, and my mom is not part of it. It breaks my heart, but I need to protect the baby. OP comments on the second Boru post. I came to check the comments since Tequilitas told me the sub was full of nice people but so many snarky ones. I won't give more identifying info, but Bates is supposed to work with vulnerable people, which is why my husband contacted their employer. As for the money thing, we all come from well-to-do backgrounds for saying something, so I never thought he would suffer for money, but he also will never learn anything. New update. I have some updates for you, but first I want to thank you for all your comments and messages. Every time I log into this account I am bombarded by mostly positive things, and I appreciate it a lot. I am unsure if anybody will read this, but for those who want updates they are mainly good ones. With that out of the way, let's get to it. My parents are divorced now, after many fights and tantrums from my mother. She kept the house and got a bulk payment, but that is it. My dad is like a new man and we are all so happy for him. A little throwback. When all the drama happened we did not fire our cleaning lady. This is a woman that had been helping my husband's family for decades, and I was very stressed out about her being out of work because of what my crazy family did. Also, we are not slobs and she is not polishing floors on her knees or anything like that. In any case, my dad spoke with her and told her she was on paid vacation and until we had a new house to please wait for us if she wanted, but she was absolutely not fired. She was really happy about it and so was her family. My dad started to get food and stuff from them from time to time because they were so thankful about what he was doing for them. Well, she has a sister, who owns her own nail salon, and my dad is dating her now. She is a very lovely woman and has grown children, so she understands the dynamics happening sometimes. He has been very clear he is not moving or marrying, and she is pleased with that because she likes her independence. My mother nearly had a stroke when she heard about his new relationship and kept saying it was a late midlife crisis and he had to resort to being a sugar daddy. This is obviously what I heard because I don't have any contact with her. But last I heard she is having a hard time. She is struggling because she was never good at budgeting and relied on my dad to put a stop on ridiculous purchases. My sister is also struggling because my dad is not helping her with money anymore. You'll see, he was willing to keep helping for the sake of my nephew, but then things got very rough. My nephew started calling my kid an affair baby, how she is not with her real dad, called my other nephews delusional, and during a birthday party he even pushed one of my nephews on my husband's side saying they were not my kid's cousins, only he was. The kids were perplexed and so confused, but immediately told an adult about it. My dad spoke with him, but he kept repeating it. He spoke with my sister and she said she could do nothing to prevent a kid from telling the truth, and didn't all kids always tell the truth? He told her until there is a chance he is cutting them off. She panicked and cried, but she is also super stubborn, so now my nephew goes to public school because my husband made my dad cut them off. Bates, well, he is still unemployed. I know I was cryptic about it, but he was in an industry related to vulnerable women and some of it related to stalking. Irony much? That's why he was fired. The organization he was in didn't want this to splash on them. I have received 2 more very long handwritten rambling letters from him, and since he only has my lawyer's address, guess who has the honor of receiving, reading and file those ramblings? I love my lawyer and he is a champ. Apart from that and the gossip, I have not had bad issues related to him except for one. I was at the grocery store and a random woman came over to ask if my kid was Bates's baby. I was speechless and shocked. I asked her what she was on and she said he has a photo of us on his profile and I should be ashamed of myself for hurting such a good man. Turns out he is still going by the narrative my kid is his and I loved him so much. That is all old news, but at the end what shocked me the most was the pic comment. This is not a photo that has been public or anything like that. It was sent to a family group once and that is it. I told my husband immediately and he was enraged but composed, so we decided to smoke out the rat. Long story short, it was my dad's 2 sisters feeding info to my mom. My dad was so disappointed but also had no doubts cutting them off. They are still begging him to talk to them again. My brother and his family are doing great. We see them a lot and have been on some family holidays since the last update. They are also in NC with my mom and sister. My SIL is actually super happy about it because it turns out she was not a fan of our mom but kept the peace. My in-laws keep being lovely as well. We allow Mill overnight babysitting now too and she is over the moon with it. Sometimes she has all her grandchildren under the same roof and they are all delighted to be with her. She is a former flight attendant, so their favorite game is to pretend to be an airplane. Overall they love her and we know she is good without kids, so we do not worry. She had to make her socials private because my mom kept stalking her. I am sure she is extremely jealous, but she made her own bed. Lastly, my husband keeps me sane whenever little things come up. We are thinking if we should have another baby or maybe adopt one. We are still undecided. We have a great support system and the privilege to have these conversations. I still miss my mom a lot. I sometimes cry when I realize there are milestones I can no longer share with her, but she is a bad person and the safety of my family matters more. Last fun fact, this Father's Day they actually went camping. It went great apart from the mosquito bites and some ill-placed sunburns. Relevant comments. Could Bates ask for a paternity test? Report the photo. We already did a paternity test, not with Bates but with my husband. We never ever had doubts obviously, but my lawyer suggested having it done in case he claimed it. The photo incident was a while back and we already took it off his Facebook page. I didn't want to go further because I don't want to see him again. Editor's note. Well aware I wrote the wrong years when labeling, was focused more on trying to get the time between posts correct. That's fixed now, thanks to those of you who were polite about it.